Yeah, most of my stuff is just anime openings and
And we
you
are
know.
live.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hello.
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 Hi, guys.
Woo-hoo.
Hi, everybody. So I am your DM today, Akira Phoenix. Thank you very much, everyone at Behold Roleplay, for letting me come back for this second one-shot series of the Chimera Collective. This one is called Blood on the Zephyr, and we have some returning cast members and some new cast members, some new agents that are joining us. We've got for returning Siva and Zerl and Gillytam, and our new agents are Weirds, Shadowfox, and Azeron. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining me in this game today. We are doing this as a 3-part series, so we'll be the next 3 Tuesdays as sort of a interim game before Destiny Forge Campaign 3 begins. So keep an eye out. Don't worry, Destiny Forge is coming back. This is just a fun little side game that we're doing in the meantime.
Fun continuation one shot in a different
Yes.
scenario.
Different scenario. So the whole concept that I have is like with the Chimera Collective is it's set in a world that's apart from the normal Behold roleplay world that a lot of their campaigns are set in. So if anything, this would be like a separate dimension, but it does not follow the same rules or lore as the other games. And it's set in a sort of steampunk fantasy setting that's very similar to a Victorian steampunk from our world, that kind of themes, only with fantasy elements more mixed into it. So there are places that look very much like a steampunk version of London and different realms, only they're called different names.
Which explains why it would be appropriate for it to be in a different dimension.
Yeah. Like there are vehicles and things like that, but it's very much of that steampunk aesthetic. And our first one-shot series, we explored the seas, and today we're going to be going in the opposite direction. So we'll go ahead and get started. So our agents from last time completed their mission. They were able to end the troubles that were happening with this sort of mad mage facility deep underneath the sea, and they were taking villagers and experimenting on them, and everything had just gotten very corrupted due to this kind of surge of wild magic from this portal. They were able to close the portal and put an end to all of it, and recovered the dangerous artifact, bringing it back to the collective and earning their agent code names. Mm-hmm. So we'll go ahead and start with their introductions as they come into the room for their next briefing of their next mission. And we'll start with Agent Cyclops.
Okay. Hi, all. I'm Crystal Gunn, and I make my way in the city, providing companionship to wealthy gentlefolk with deep pockets and slow wits. They say a fool and his money are soon parted. I also do contracts for my associates, and I'm happy to help you in any vermin problem you might have, if you know what I mean. This here's my rifle, Widow. She was a gift from the Chimera Collective, and she comes equipped with drow sight, so I don't miss much. I've been keeping the company of those fine folks lately, and we'll see what we get up to this time round.
Thank you. And so you walk into the room, you're one of the first in the room, and you see, forgetting my own character's names again. I always mess up his name, so I have to reference it. Essentially Agent Lion, or Lord Acastus Lavender III. And he boisterously greets you and motions to have a seat at the table inside this room that you are now familiar with. It's got this high skylight where you can see kind of the night sky showing through, and there's some ornate clocks and the gears kind of turning, and the table itself is this nice, beautiful varnished wood with some brass fixing to it, and it's large enough for a group of agents to surround for a good briefing. There's a map laid out on the table with ink pots and some piles of notes and things. You can see the Lord Acastus has been at work kind of preparing some documents for the briefing. In the corner, you see Ellery, also known as Agent Goat. He's the goat man. And he's got some glasses on that make his eyes look a little bit bigger than usual. And he has a pocket watch dangling from one of his horns. And he looks a little nervous, kind of sitting and or standing over against the wall. And he's standing near Gina, who he keeps nervously kind of glancing over at. And it looks like he's trying to start a conversation with her and then kind of stops himself and kind of looks down. And Gina doesn't seem to notice. She's this bronze dragonborn woman who's just leaning with her sword kind of propped up against her and kind of waiting for everyone to join. So you go ahead and have a seat, and a clockwork servant comes and brings you a cup of tea. And in walks Agent, and I'm going to see if I can get your name right. Agent Funayure, is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, so come on.
So, I am Mysteria. I specialize in getting what I need, and getting out with none the wiser to my activities. I made a name for myself back home by gathering information on people who need to be kept in check. I recommend you stay off my shit list, as I don't want to have to do the same to you. I completed my first mission for the Collective a little while ago. I've stuck around the last couple of weeks as something caught my interest, as she winks at Elowen.
Who is right beside you. And the two of you, and just so you guys understand kind of what's going on, like I run Chimera Collective in my head very much like an episode of a TV show. And so I don't know if you've seen like things like Leverage and stuff like that, where when they walk out, they're like doing some voiceover stuff about their character. That's essentially what's happening right now. So you wink over at Elowen, who's beside you and known now as Agent Dryad.
A pleasure to meet you. I'm Elowen Dyer, sorceress and delegate of my coven from the far north. I'm a seeker of knowledge and magics. I happily join the collective and achieve these goals. If we are to be colleagues, then you should know I am what some call a witch. And no, I won't turn you into a frog. I am more attuned to nature and forests and wish only to help those around me. You wish to know more about my coven? Well, a girl doesn't share all her secrets. Now does she? For the time, one friend to share my secrets is good enough. She smiles back at Wisteria.
And the three of you have a seat at this familiar table, and kind of you each receive some tea by the little clockwork servants and start to make small talk with each other, and as well as Ellery and Gina, who come and approach the table and have a seat nearby as you wait for some of the newer agents to come in. Now, our three new agents are fresh from the academy. They've just completed their tests. They've been made agents, but they have yet to earn their first code name, or their code name after finishing their first mission. This is their first mission and their chance to prove themselves. So first coming in with a grand entrance, I'm sure, is Charlie Burbark.
Oh, cheerio. Good morrow to you all. My name is Charlie Burbach, and it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Seems we'll be enjoying an aerial view of the lands below from the Zephyr today. Quite an extraordinary piece of ingenious engineering. Though I am new to the Chimera Collective, I assure you I will do all that is within my skill set to assist and assure ourselves of success. What say you to a nice cup of Earl Grey and some chess?
Now, we have been introduced to the three other agents and what they look like. We can kind of reference our character cards as well, but since this is our first time meeting you three, could you give a just physical description of yourself as you walk?
I walk in with a very long stride, very neat clothing, almost debonair. But he's not just any man. He is a Loxodon, an elephant man. And he has purple eyes. Strange for him. And he's also in a top hat, has a suitcase, and a cup of joe.
And Lord Acastus greets you, gives you a hearty handshake. Burbog! Old chap, good to see you, good to see you.
Good to see you, Augustus.
Please have a seat.
My
I see you
pleasure.
got yourself a drink already.
I did. Thank you very much.
Splendid.
Kind of puts the suitcase off to the side, not on the table, and just puts the cup down. Still look at everybody. Very esteemed colleagues here.
Wonderful. And so you sit at the table, finding a spot and noticing that you look at the chair for a quick moment, looks pretty sturdy. You have a nice comfortable seat and wait for the other two members of your team to arrive, which will next walk a very different in appearance individual from Burbark as Kieran walks in. That'll be you outside.
You're muted.
I thought we were going in order of the layout, so I wasn't paying attention. I
I did not even realize I was doing that.
You kind of did. That was kind of ingenious.
Yeah, you were. You totally threw me off. I'm like, do. I'm like, hey, I'm going last, so I'll be fine with that.
We
Stay on your toes,
order,
damn it.
But now I've put you on the spot.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't in the right headspace.
It's all good. It's all good.
I can go to Shadow.
No, I'll go.
Okay.
I just, I gotta, get.
I'm good going last. It's good.
I'm good going last. So a young blonde woman wearing pigtails, stowed now, but is a crescent moon shield and a rather fine-looking mace. Strapped to her hip is a very large and finely leathered tome of some kind, strapped to her hip by a very strong-looking ornate chain. Salutations! May the light of the silver moon always illuminate your path. I'm Sister Kieran, priestess in glorious service to Our Lady Saloon. The collective assigned me to provide Saloon's blessing to all of you. Isn't that great? I'm really good at healing. Mother Superior said it's like a blessing and a curse. I think she's still mad because I burned the kitchen last week. I mean, I didn't burn it down, but I mean, it was a big fire. I'm not supposed to touch things I don't really know how to use. But it's all good. I mean, they put the fire out eventually. And Mother Superior always tells me that you can't fix stupid. I've never found out if she means that literally or not. So just to be safe, don't get yourself hurt doing something stupid, and then I don't have to worry about it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. You waltz on in and looking up appreciatively, able to view the night sky and view the current crescent moon that's in the sky at the moment, brings you a little peace and makes you feel a little bit more comfortable in this space as you go and find a seat with a nice view so that you can keep an eye on the sky while you watch the proceedings of this briefing. And in walks our final member, who's I might have saved for last because I really have a hard time with your name.
He wanted to copy me and do all the W's and Y's. He just amplified it.
Y'all just like to do that. So I'm gonna say Githir. Is that what it was? Githir?
With here.
Yeah, he went foreign language with that.
Say it
With
one more
here.
time.
With ear.
With ear.
Oh my gosh. With here.
With ear.
Okay, lean into the mic then. All I heard was with ear.
So Dr. Gwithier Epidemisia, or how I will probably be referring to him as Dr. E, comes in. Oh, love it. Love it.
Aw, no mask?
You know, I'm still eating and drinking, so
Okay,
no.
that's fair.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Greetings, Dr. Guthir Epidemisia, at your service. Graduate with honors from the prestigious Blackbridge Academy of Alchemy and the Arcane. Dr. Gertrude Amelia Geiss, MD, PhD, Professor and Master of the Alchemical Sciences, Aide and Apprentice. Well, that is, of course, until the whole treason and war crimes thing. It seems that the Chimera Collective has plucked me from my laboratory to aid you in your next outing. They said your last mission was a rousing success. Congratulations! But it seems this time they have deemed it necessary to have one of my unique intellects, insights, and talents amongst your number to help root out lost knowledges and information of import to bring back. Now, with all that out of the way, here, I have a vial for each of you. Please drink it when you find yourself in need. Don't ask what they do. That's rude. Besides, I won't know myself until you drink it.
And the last part, he really does say.
And he'll actually hold out vials for everyone.
Thank you, Sloth and Press, for that follow.
One.
That stuff looks kind of grody and like bog water. That's okay.
No. These two here are silver, and this one here is kind of just like a nice little off-white. And then these three here, these are deep golden color. They all do something good. I just don't know what until you drink them.
Ellery chimes in from the back and goes, "Oh, they're fine. We just don't know which ones they are."
Takes one.
Oh, I don't want to be rude.
Might do.
I'll take one.
I
They're
kind of
pretty.
fancy the silver one because it matches the etching on my rifles. If I could have one of them, please.
All right, there's one silver left now. There's one eggshell and 3 deep gold.
I'll take a silver.
Okay?
I'll take a
So
gold one.
mark those down on your inventories.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh
So,
yeah, I remember how to do this.
which one did I grab again? Oh dear.
I don't know. Which
Just
one did you
put,
grab?
Gold or
put
eggshell?
Dr. E potion and then the color.
I'll take eggshell. This is
Okay,
great.
so now the rest are deep gold.
Yeah, I'm taking a gold one.
So Kieran will take one, but she's like, she thinks this Luxodon is super sus. So
I'm not a Lexodon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the weird mask wearing top hatted doctor.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Why was that the
Did you-
doctor?
I can't remember if Kieran, did you get a chance to describe your physical description in your?
Yeah.
Okay. So and then.
So she'll take one because she's told to, but I'm not putting it in my inventory because she's basically gonna leave it behind when she leaves.
And Shadow, did you want to describe your character, or did you kind of cover a little bit of that?
I mean, so yeah, lean heavily on the character card. He is there's a hat, and it's quite a bit wider brim than this one, but you know, beggars can't be chooser. So he wears a hat, loose leather coat that's kind of reminiscent of a lab coat, and he does have a plague doctor's mask, but it does actually also have gas mask fittings to it at the same time. It does, as you imagine, cover up the whole of his face, and underneath the hat you might see some peppered dark brown hair. And yeah, otherwise he looks like a fairly healthy man in his 30s, and yeah.
Great. So you also make your way to the table and have a seat, kind of taking in the people around you and seeing their reaction to the potions, excited to see what they're going to be when they use them. And Lord Acastus approaches everybody and makes sure everyone has tea or coffee, whatever they're looking for. And yeah, no problem, Zoro. Noted. She has to step away real quick, but she'll be back. And so hopefully she can hear the debrief at least. We can fill her in later though. Well, we've got a very unorthodox mission for you today. Normally, the collective wouldn't take on a mission such as this, but it is a special case. You see, as you all know or aware, the nation of Darvasta has been at war with each other, Eastern and Western, for a number of years. Around 6 or so, it's been quite bloody. Some of you are more familiar with this than others. Peace talks, however, are in the works. And the ambassador of Western Darvasta has learned of a plot recently to prevent her from attending the peace talks. And so her travel arrangements were abruptly changed. And her people have reached out to us, seeing as they cannot trust their own people in this moment. Normally, we don't get involved in politics. We leave that to others. But Agent Sphinx, our current resident divination expert, said that this will become the type of thing we should be involved with. Now, the thing about Agent Sphinx is when Agent Sphinx says go, generally it's a good idea to do so. Catastrophic things happen when we ignore the warnings or advice of Agent Sphinx. And also annoyingly, she always says she can't give us very much information as to why, because she says if she gives too much information, it will change the future. It's very frustrating. But it was enough to convince us that we should take on the mission. Now, a lot of our more advanced agents, their covers are known throughout the elite or throughout government officials. And so them, as well as others who would have been able to go, are out on assignment, or their covers are just, we're not sure if they'll be blown. You, however, have covers that can remain intact. You are unknown. Therefore, you'll be perfect for the mission. Now, each of you has been seen as a resident expert in your fields. You've outshone the other students in the academy. And some of you have proven yourselves worthy in your previous mission. So I feel confident with this group. However new you may be, I think this is well within your capabilities. Given that, the mission is going to take place on a very large giant class Zeppelin known as the Zephyr. And you guys have probably heard of the Zephyr before. There was a number of years that it was being developed with some of the best artificers and mechanics in the region to create this sort of like luxury class Zeppelin. It's essentially like the Titanic of the air.
That's not
scary
ominous.
reference.
Things didn't work out too well for that ship.
Well, maybe you guys can make it happen differently here.
Hopefully it's just the
Maybe the
scale
science
that's
is
There's a
similar.
little less glaciers in the air, so
One can only hope.
I mean, they're mountains,
There's just glaciers in the sky.
Yeah. No big deal. We'll be all right. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
good.
your
No
mission,
foreshadowing.
your mission is to secure the transport, to ensure that the ambassador arrives at the island of Chaital, where the peace talks will be taking place. Chaital is a neutral island and is the chosen location for the peace talks. Many other diplomats and political officials and their entourages will be attending the peace talks and maybe upon the Zeppelin as well. There are also going to be a number of celebrities or wealthy persons that are traveling to Chaital for various reasons, whether it be related to the peace talks or not. It is a very popular tourist destination after all. Now, you will each need to infiltrate, figure out if there is a plot afoot to derail the ship or to attack the ambassador, prevent that from happening, and to keep an eye out for anything strange. Agent Sphinx, again, didn't give any details, but if she said this was up our alley, things are probably not going to be what they seem. So stay sharp. Each of you will need to go under cover. Now, the ambassador will know who you are, but nobody else will. I apologize. There's one other, but they are another agent, a specialist that we are sending with you. Her name is Agent Phalanx. Agent Phalanx! And this elf that is pretty much all legs comes out. She's got a very just picture-like horse races type of hat, like this big hat with a few flowers on it. It's black with a ribbon, and she has a dress that's cut in a very deep V, and it comes up on her leg very high, and she's got some high boots with brass fixings, and she is a very pale elf with white hair. And she kind of saunters in, gives a little bit of a wave, and smokes from her long cigarette. And Agent Acastus, Lord Acastus says, "This is Phalanx." And Phalanx, as in like the Greek maneuver phalanx, that's how that would be spelled. She's an abjuration specialist. She'll be in charge of the ambassador's person herself. She will be protecting her body. Again, it is your job to make sure the vessel arrives safely. Agent Phalanx will worry about the ambassador's person and will stay by her side at all times. She and the ambassador are the only ones who will know of your covers. Speaking of, you will need to choose a cover. Now, we can arrange for any number that makes sense. Some recommendations would be either entertainer, extra security, maybe take on a persona of a celebrity or a wealthy person. Or you could simply be in the ambassador's entourage. Or if you want to get a little bit trickier, you could also try for a new member of the crew of the ship. So give it some thought. And I'll come back to you on that to see which cover you think would fit your skills best, that you can keep up. Now,
Shadow Fox would like to say that he is choosing the ship's doctor as his undercover.
Ship's doctor? Okay. It is my understanding the ship does have a medic, but that we could definitely make a cover for you to be an assistant. So we will go ahead and add that cover in for you. You'll be an assistant to the head medic of the ship. We can arrange for that. Do any of the others immediately have something that come to mind, or you need to mull on it a bit?
I'd like to be part of the ship's security.
The ship's security. Okay, so some extra security that they've hired on, knowing they've got some important passengers. That is doable. Any others?
Can I like be like that celebrity thing? That sounds like a lot of fun.
Certainly. What type of celebrity would you like to be? What would you like to have been known for? We'll have you from a country that won't be exactly noticeable, but...
I don't know. I don't really know a lot of celebrities. Most of the things we read in the orphanage are pretty much fairy tales and, books that the collective provide us. But if I can be some sort of princess or something, that would be awesome.
Very well.
Playwright.
Of a, let's see. What is a remote... Ellery, what's a remote land that probably has some sort of royalty? All right. There is land, small, sort of like island neighbors on the other side of the continent. I'm trying to think of how I want to spell this.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll say you're from Loxus. So you're a young princess of Loxus. People won't look too closely at that.
I have a small question about the security.
Yes.
Will I be able to keep my rifle, or would that be inappropriate? I can tuck it away and just use my 6 guns if that's acceptable. Or would they have weapons they would provide to me?
Ellery will be Ellery and Gina will cover the weapons portion of the briefing, because those of you who use guns, well, piercing weapons on a very large, essentially a balloon, is generally not very wise, or a ship of any kind. But I think they've got something in the works to help with that. So,
Thank you kindly.
with the rifle, I believe Ellery had it modeled so it could kind of fold in half and tuck away a bit. So I don't think it will be too much of a problem if you're extra security. You might have to keep it hidden behind your jacket.
I can do that. I can hide most anything.
And you will have cabins, so if you're wearing a dress for the evening or some such, maybe hide it away in your cabin for the time being, but use your discretion on that. Has anyone else given thought to a cover they would like to say?
Yes, the entourage for the diplomats wouldn't be so bad to be closer to our protected one.
Good idea. Yes.
So might be able to mingle and see if some of our enemies have already gotten close.
That's a good idea. Oh, there's also press is another possibility. I know that there are going to be a number of press individuals on the Zeppelin as well. Number of the entourage works, so you could be essentially like an assistant or something along those lines. I'll let you kind of fill in the details that you'd like.
Of course. And probably some leisure activities. I did bring my chess set after all, just to be able to fit in.
That's good.
I sort of had the same idea, where I wanted to be part of the ambassador's entourage and be more of his personal clairvoyant of sorts. Maybe a little bit dipping into someone famous that can perhaps assist and help with the ambassador personally. Keeps him around for good advice and perhaps see in the future.
Very well. A sort of divine advisor, not divine advisor, but like a psychic advisor. Many different politicians and celebrities of different kinds have eccentric interests and whatnot, so it wouldn't be unusual for her to want to bring along a trusted psychic to advise her in her matters and to give her a heads up on things. You may have people requesting readings, but...
Which I can do. Not very well, but I can fake it pretty good.
Good. You might need to. Get a dryad set. What's that? Let's see. I think we've got everybody set up. No, wait. Agent Funayuri.
You know, I do play quite a wealthy character very well. So, maybe another wealthy passenger. Maybe a part of the entourage as well. Just keep close tabs.
Maybe a wealthy heiress who's made friends with some of the members of the entourage.
Yeah, I can do that.
So we'll have you be a passenger.
Elowen looks over at her and she's like, am I finally going to see you in a dress?
Quite possibly. Don't have to.
Oh, this will be exciting.
Yes, we'll have you leave some details for our tailors, and you will need to attend at least one formal dinner with the ambassador
That's
in
not a
your
problem.
covers. So those of you who are going as security, Crystal, you will not be required to dress up, but, well, a nicer suit, if you will, because security will be wanted to be presentable during the dinner. So, but you'll still need to be in more of a professional atmosphere. But we will need basically your measurements and things like that, which Ellery will get as well after he equips you. Now, You guys will sleep overnight, and we'll have the arrangements and clothing, everything set, the covers in place for you to teleport to the airship. I don't know what you would call it, a dock. I don't know.
Sounds about right.
Sounds appropriate, actually. Docking area.
And be on your way. Is there any other questions about the mission before I send you off to the other raid?
Can my dress have pretty stars and moons and stuff like that?
Whatever you like, love. Just put it on in the notes, and we'll get that set up for you. We've got some very talented tailors.
I'm so happy. I've never had a dress before.
That's surprising. We will change
Oh.
that.
Well, at the church we have to wear, our vestments and whatnot, so we're not supposed to be too ostentatious. When the superior gets very mad. But I know before she took over the orphanage, she did some really cool stuff because she has some really pretty stuff in her closet. I know, I've seen them.
Oh, she certainly does. I remember the days. How is she doing?
Very good, very strict, at least with me. She says she can't keep her eyes off me lest I burn the orphanage down. Again, accident, things happen. I don't touch the stove anymore, but she likes to make sure that I'm only doing the stuff she tells me I'm allowed to do.
It's a little odd.
She says I'm accident prone, whatever that means.
I think she sees a little of herself in you, to be honest, and so that could be why she's trying to keep a closer eye. She got away with quite a bit in her day. Now, why don't you guys head on out and go ahead and get equipped and get a night's rest. It's going to be a couple of days journey to Chetal. So we're estimating about 2 to 3 days, given the wind.
Well, hello. And he'll stand up, grab his suitcase, mug.
So you guys file out and follow Gina down the hall. Ellery's already exited to get things ready. And they take you... Oh. You can ask. Nobody asked the ambassador's name. Is the
It was mentioned, but...
I'm playing catch up, sorry.
Yeah.
What's the ambassador's name? Who are we protecting? Who are we escorting?
Yeah, that would be useful to know, right?
I thought that was the first thing
I
people
thought
would
it was
ask.
mentioned earlier, but
I thought it was told to us too.
I wanted to see if you guys would catch that. Otherwise, you have a little
It was a lot of information at one time. So
the name was mentioned just that she's from Devoster.
Yeah, she's the ambassador of Western Devoster. Her name, Lord Acastus tells you, is Ambassador Mila Fassa. Milafassa.
And
Not Mufasa.
what do they look like?
Mila is an elderly woman, probably in her 60s or so, 70s. I don't really ask women their ages, so it's hard to tell.
That's fair.
Stern, but wise and caring. She cares very much about her country. Generally a good person to work with. She adores her grandson, her grandson, who is also attending the, he will be on the Zeppelin as well, and his name is Dimitri Fassa. He's in his 20s. He's a bit of a bad boy. He likes to gamble a lot. We don't have too much information about him, but he is accompanying the ambassador as part of her entourage, so you will be working a lot with him. There is several other important people that are going to be attending as well that you might want to take note of. The Secretary of Defense will be there, named Novik Mastig. As well as, and he's, Novik is retired military general, and the current military general of power, who is also attending the peace talks and will be aboard the Zeppelin, is a General Lev Garin from Western Dravasta. Lavgarin. He's a gentleman in his, I'd say, early 40s or so. He has some mutton chops down the sides. Fine mustache. The Secretary of Defense that I mentioned, he's a white-haired tiefling, another elderly gentleman, rarely seen without his dog. So he'll be fairly easy to spot. He's got some small dog. I'm sure you'll meet him. He's
what
very.
kind of dog is it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't take notes about that. I was just told that he is rarely seen without some sort of animal, and the only animal that the Zephyr would allow was a dog. So the man owns a giraffe, to give you an idea.
Oh, I've seen those in books. It's kind of weird. I don't think their necks are supposed to be that long. That's kind of strange.
Agreed. But I try not to judge. So, there's a number of others that will be there. You'll meet once you board the Zephyr. Anything else I can be of help with?
It's lots of good information to go off of. Thank you. Are they all human?
Apart from Novik, who is a white tiefling, the rest are human from Darvasta. I mean, there's others, non-humans aboard the Zeppelin, but the ones that I've mentioned thus far are human of the ambassadors.
That is one question I should ask. The chief engineer who will be riding along with the Zeppelin.
The chief engineer, the head of engineering and maintenance is a half-orc by the name of Ugo Tuggug, from what I understand of my intelligence. Not much is known about him.
Yeah. I'll try and see if I can gain his acquaintance as well. Just to make sure he's on the up and up.
I highly encourage you to keep your eye out of very many of the passengers and crew. Look for any kind of suspicious activity. Get to know those close to the ambassador. And anything else that you think might be prudent.
Do we have a name for the head of security?
Head of security would be the First Officer Kelvin Montague. He is a bronze dragonborn like Gina. From what I understand. Missing 2 fingers on his right hand. It's an interesting detail about him.
Missing 2 fingers on right hand?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, you said he's the first mate?
He's the first officer or security officer. Same thing. So that would be the one you would be reporting to, Crystal.
Thank you.
Agent Cyclops, I apologize. Now,
It's fine.
it's a little bit new, isn't it? Any other questions? Those were good ones.
Does the captain of the ship know what we're doing?
The captain is not aware of who you are, that you work for the collective. They will just be aware of your covers.
All
I
right.
don't recall that I heard the name of the captain for this vessel.
So, decent chap from what I've heard. A human by the name of Captain Roger Edison.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
That's a lot to know.
I've got some more briefings to do, so if you will go ahead and follow Gina over to Ellery's workshop, we'll get you outfitted and rested for the night.
Have a good night, Cassis.
And we will take a break right after we get you guys outfitted, okay? So it's coming soon.
Yay!
So you go over to the workshop, you hear, those of you who've been here before, hear very familiar sounds of a goat man cursing and things being thrown around. And you realize this is just maybe kind of par for the course for Ellery. And you open the doors and see him. He's got a few things dangling off his horns, and he's looking at things and throwing it, shaking his face. Then he looks over at you guys. Oh, hi. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. I swear, I'm ready. So, first thing, Gina. And Gina walks in behind you guys. Right. So, guns. Ship. Not good. Right? And Ellery kind of waits for her to say more, and she just goes.
Explosives, also not good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can explode on the ship, for sure. And Ellery goes, well, so I developed some special rounds for those of you who use guns. And actually, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Epidemisia, because I used some of the formulas you were developing while you were at the academy.
Oh,
to design
splendid.
These. Yeah, they're acid rounds that will only affect organics.
Acid, you say. Fascinating.
Yeah, you'll probably find some of the compounds familiar. So he hands so these rounds, basically, to fire them, there is a downside to when you fire them, whatever your gun type is, whatever the dice type that you do damage, like if with crystal it's a D12, it's going to go down one die type because these are not piercing bullets. They are bludgeoning bullets. They're sort of like paintballs with acid in them.
Oh, fudge.
I love
it.
So just take a note that it'll be one dice type down when you fire these particular bullets. Now you still are able to bring your normal bullets with you. Crystal, you will get 12 of these special acid bullets. And
so that would be a D10 then?
It would be a D10 for you. So D10 damage plus your modifier plus 1d4 acid damage. So it brings down a die type, but you get to add acid damage to it. And that's just because it doesn't pack quite as big of a punch as it normally would with your normal bullets. So, and then for Dr. E, you also have a gun, and yours, you have 6 of these rounds, of these special rounds.
Okay.
Stevie gets 12 because she's got more guns. And you guys, again, can still fire your normal rounds, but Gina warns you that something bad might happen if you pierce the hull, so try not to miss.
Oh my.
And Charlie, Ellery approaches you, and he looks very excited. His little tail is wagging, and he goes, oh, Burr Bark, I got something real nice. I think you're going to like it. Okay, I'm really excited about this. And he kind of pulls out with a flourish this cane, and it's got a really ornate kind of design at the head of it. And then he pulls that out, and it's a sword cane. And so we'll do the same as your current sword. And he hands it to you and says, now, I know it's already pretty cool, right? But do you feel that little kind of round part at the top, just underneath? And a little burst of electricity goes bzzz, from the end of the cane. So that's got 3 charges to it, and it will do some electric shock damage, and it might stun somebody if you're lucky. So
gives it a twirl and just kind of taps it on the ground a little bit and just, thank you very much.
The charges will basically refresh at dawn, and if you use it in conjunction with your sword, you can still, because it's on where the hilt of the sword would be, you can potentially like hit with your sword, do the sword damage, add electricity damage if you want, and they will have to roll a DC 12 con save or be stunned. So That's
Okay,
the
then.
thing.
Okay.
You get to do that 3 times. So when you hit something with your sword, you can make the choice on if you want to hit that button or not. But you'll be able to do that 3 times. And it's
Works similar to Paladin's, what's it called? Divine Smite stuff.
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I homebrewed a lot of these based on some kind of normal mechanics and items.
Nice.
So yeah, basically your normal sword damage plus 1d4 electric plus a chance to stun DC 12.
So D4 electric and DC 12 stuff.
And then Kieran. So Ellery comes and he grabs something that he kind of drags on the floor a little bit and then presents it to you. And it looks to be this really beautiful dark iron flail. And the flail part of it has these tiny holes in the shapes of different phases of the moon and stars. And he tells you, this is Flail of the Moon Maiden, and it's a holy weapon. Figured you'd like it. And what it does, and he will explain this, but I'm just going to say it in normal voice because Ellery voice is difficult to keep up sometimes. But basically, it's a flail that does 1d8 bludgeoning damage and plus 1d4 radiant. And as a bonus action, you can choose to speak a command word that you can come up with. And when you speak that command word, incense will come forth out of those tiny holes in the mace. And within 10 feet of you, at the start, this will go on for about a minute, this incense will burn. And at the start of each of your turns within that minute, you and any friendly creatures near you will regain 1d4 hit points.
What's the range on that?
10 feet. And the property can't be used again until dawn. So once you use that incense part of it, it can't be used again until dawn. And on break, I'll post all of this information in Discord for everybody. I didn't get a chance to homebrew the items yet, but I will for next episode.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
Dr. E comes over to you and hands you a screwdriver.
Oh, interesting.
And he just kind of grins and then goes, "Oh, right. Think of another tool. Anything."
Thinks of a hammer.
It turns into a hammer and glows
If
slightly.
you could see the eyes behind his mask, they are wide. Thinks of bone saw.
It turns into a bone saw, glows faintly.
Oh, this should be fun.
So, this is pretty cool. I thought you would like it. I have one myself. I use it all the time. But it will transform and will give you +1 to your tool proficiency of whatever you're holding. So even if you're not normally proficient in it, you'll get a +1.
Oh, good. I can finally get all those different tool sets out of my backpack.
And as an action, you can focus on the tool to channel your energy, and you can choose one cantrip that you don't know from any class list. And for 8 hours, you can cast that cantrip, and it counts as an artificer cantrip for you once it's used. It can't be used again until the next dawn.
That's pretty cool.
And he goes over to Agent Funayuri. I learned something. And he goes up to your amulet of the Raven Queen and kind of draws a little rune on it and shows you how to do it. And it glows faintly, and then it kind of opens, and this little vial of poison comes out of it.
Oh, that is handy.
I'm sorry, I was doing some studies. I realized I didn't notice it had this thing. So basically, it has this magical poison, and you coat it on your blade. And it has, I believe, 3 uses before it's used up, but it will come back at dawn. And it will do, you can coat it to your blade, and as a bonus action, you can coat it. And it will do an additional 1d4 damage, in addition to what it to any weapon that you put that poison on.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for showing me that. That'll
You're
be handy to
welcome.
have from now on.
And I fixed your drow sight, dear. And he hands Cyclops your fixed drow sight.
Thank you so much. I'll try to be so much more careful with it this time.
It's fine. I'm glad it's working out for you, okay? I tried to widen the range a little bit, but we'll see. And I didn't get anything additional to Elowen or Crystals because you guys already started packing some heat with your items, so Elowen, you have an awakened item. You don't even know half of what it does yet, so
That's true. I need to stab it. I need to stab something with it.
It's a vestige.
It's not me.
It's a vestige.
So, and Crystal, you've got some badass weaponry and stuff, so
Yeah.
you're doing good. You just got some new bullets, so I hope you guys don't feel slighted, but it's just trying to keep things a little balanced.
No, I'm just teasing.
So now that you guys are all equipped and outfitted, you leave your details on what you want your formal attire to look like with Ellery and Gina, and they'll hand it off to the tailors. And they show you where you guys can rest for the evening so you can get a nice fresh start the next day and for your travels. We're going to go ahead and take our first break here. So I know we're having a bit of a slow start. I always start a little slow for some reason, but it's okay. At least I have 3 episodes.
We gotta set up the situation. I'm all right. I'm
Yeah.
all for the
Oh,
slow
yeah.
build up. I like a slow build up.
So we're gonna go ahead and take a break. Everyone stretch, get some snackies, drinks, and whatnot, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you so much.
way with the
And we are
outfit.
back.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Shadow still has his headphones on. He's just AFK. This
Yeah, no
issues.
worries.
Unlike
Oh.
me, he can hear everything still.
So as you guys are, well, I'll give you a moment. Is there anything you guys would like to say to each other before heading off? Like, there's a little common area where the there's like some temporary rooms that agents who are about to go away on mission can stay in, and it's in kind of this circular room. And you each get your own little room, and they're not much to them. It's basically a bed and like a wash basin and a closet for your clothing and whatnot, and a space, some shelving to kind of put your items, your suitcases and stuff, and a small writing desk. So, but there is a common area in the center that has some like couches and sort of like a lounge area, and there is a drink cart that is been made available to you guys if you guys would like to mingle for a bit before going to bed. That's perfectly fine. I'll give you that opportunity when you guys are ready to. I'll kind of check in and see when we're ready to move on to the next day.
I think Charles will set up his stuff in his room, save for one item, and he will actually take a seat on one of the lounge chairs, and on the table in front of him, he will set up his dragon chess set.
Nice.
And we'll invite anyone that wishes to have a nice, fun game is welcome to do so.
I think
Starts,
Elowen would at some point when she's done with her evening stuff, she'd probably want to play a game.
Syria will observe this game.
Agent Dryad, was it?
That's me.
Pleasure to meet you. And he'll shake your hand. It's a
She'll do the
big
same.
hand, but it is a very soft grip.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
so-
Welcome aboard.
Likewise, it's good to be here. Do you know all the rules?
I know a good chunk of them, yes. Still so much to learn here, of course, but I've only done one mission so far myself, but it's been packed full of knowledge, and I'm enjoying it very much.
We are forever students so long as we are alive. So, it'll be good to learn who I am playing with. Tell me, how would you describe the roles of the pieces in the sense of the collective?
Let's see here, and she looks down at the pieces. I would like to think the king here is the hold on, what was it? Lord Arcastus? Is that his name? Lord Arcastus. And probably the rooks, I would think, would be more like Ellery and Gina, the ones that are always there at his side, protecting him. But then these pieces right here, and she points to the front with all the pawns, this would be us. And I know that we won't always be pawns, because once you reach across the board, they do become something else, something special.
Let me go ahead and tell you what I think. Don't sell yourself so short. We are not the pawns. The pawns, to me, are the missions and objectives of the Chimera. While not all of them are successful, the ones that do make it across do earn the titles and code names for those that take on those responsibilities. As far as the rooks go, you're not far off. Those are the foundational members of our team,
Indeed.
such as Arcastus, and the other two. The bishops would be those that not only provide those same foundational efforts, but are also those that seek out the talents for new agents. We would be considered the knights. Our reach is far as long as we center ourselves. Get too close to an edge, your options become limited. It's better to group together in the center. The queen, however, would be the Chimera Collective itself, as it has many roles and many different assets at its disposal. And the king, my dear Edelin, would be those of the public, the innocent and the ignorant, that we must protect.
It's a very unique perspective. I quite like yours.
It is but one of many.
Sounds to me like you spent a long time thinking about that.
I've been training for over a year, and I've been playing chess for 20. Since I was a young lad.
I suppose from my point of view, it's more of always start at the bottom because there's always room to grow and get to the top. As I've done in my own area where I'm from, always moving towards the top. There's no shame in starting as a pawn, but I do rather like your perspective better.
Thank you. Shall we begin? And he will flip it over to where you have advantage.
Oh, bitch. Okay.
And it's just, we're not going to actually roleplay the actual game.
Yeah, right. You're going down!
It's not like I have like computer chess on the side here waiting for someone to join. No, none of that. But yeah, they'll have a nice simple game, and it's just back and forth banter at that point.
Yeah, more of just getting to know you, making little side comments off to the side of Wisteria, trying to get her involved and talk.
One special thing about this chessboard, though, if I may be so bold as to add a little flair to it. Knight to e5. The piece will actually raise up, go forward, and
it's a wizard's chess.
I'm here for it.
Chess. Oh.
We're in a world of magic. It's actually funny because it's funny that you say that, because I was originally just gonna play and I was just gonna use Mage Hand and just kind of have her do this and just have it move.
I mean,
what if it
that
already
works
moves?
too.
Then it's even better.
Yeah.
Because she's just sitting here doing this the whole time, sipping on her tea while she has Mage Hand doing everything.
That's amazing. I could say that's still able to be done.
Yeah.
You don't have to announce anything.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I should be paying attention. Oh no, I'm losing.
I think at some point Wisteria's going to get up and meander over to... God, I can't remember the agent names, they're too new. So Crystal, like, it's good to see you again. I'll pick up an action again.
Nice to see you as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you made it out of the last one. Are you ready to do it again?
Oh, absolutely. I had my hat stuffed up with newspaper drying by the fire after the last one for quite a spell, but everything's good, so I'm more than ready to go, and I'm so happy that they fixed my rifle, even if I can't quite use it the same way, but you don't need to worry. I'll be careful. I don't need to be blowing anybody up.
No, we don't. That'd be the opposite of what we're trying to do. Do you have a good break, though? What'd you get up to over the last couple weeks?
Well, not too much. Actually, it was really kind of nice because, there was enough funds and things from the Chimera Collective that I could just kind of take a break from what I have to do. I didn't need to seek out any contracts or anything, or, do any kind of entertaining, if you know what I mean. So it was kind of nice and kind of restful. And chance to reflect. And I must admit, I did do a little bit of rifle practice and a little bit of sword training as well. But other than that, and what about you? What you been up to?
Just, been here, there. I think Ellen and I had visited a garden and had some lunch a couple times.
So you stayed in the city then?
For now. So, I had to give a little bit, get to know our comrades a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's wise. They seem like nice folk, though.
Yeah. I never put 100% trust in anyone, so a little bit of information gathering, a little bit of just getting to know other agents.
I think it's kind of nice, though. I feel kind of safe here with these folk. I don't feel like I feel like I can let my guard down just a tad, which is kind of nice. There doesn't seem to be anything amiss or anything untrustworthy about them. What do you think?
Not untrustworthy yet, but I find with any group of people, eventually you find something. Whether it's an individual or just a small piece of it you don't like. But nothing yet. I'm trying to enjoy.
I
more relaxed here.
I kind of enjoy that Agent Goat. He's kind of so bubbly and cheerful and seems so happy with what he does. It's hard to believe there'd be anything much amiss with somebody, so happy and dedicated to what they're doing.
He is quite enjoyable, isn't he? It's just more of a don't trust groups or powerful entities very well.
I think he may be a little sweet on the Dragonborn lady. What do you think?
Oh, completely. I'm not sure if she realizes it or is just ignoring it.
I kind of think she's just maybe playing hard to get. I mean, how could you miss all that? He's just trying so hard.
You never know. I have met some very oblivious people in my days.
No, I don't think she misses much.
I will admit it is nice because I don't feel like I have to hide as much here as I do when I'm out in the public. So this next mission will be interesting because I can't wear all of this. No mask, no hood. I'll have to be out in the open.
You'll be fine.
It's just unusual for me to work in that manner.
It's just a different kind of mask, if you know what I mean.
This is true.
We always wear masks all the time, all of us, really.
Fair enough. Speaking of which, we do have some interesting new characters. Anything you make of them so far?
I'm not sure, but, speaking of masks, maybe we should go over and have a word with the kind doctor over there. What do you think?
I'm all aboard. Lead the way.
As you guys make your way over to have a word with Dr. E, you're kind of going through your head, remembering when he first arrived and walked in and some of the things that he said. Give me a history check, both of you.
History. Where's my abilities?
I'm oblivious to everything.
And I got a 16.
Okay. And would you get Agent Cyclops?
Oh.
Okay. So yeah, you're a little bit more not up on current events. But Wisteria, you do recall a bunch of headlines a number of years back about a Dr. Gertrude Amelia Geist, who he had mentioned when he had mentioned in conversation that he used to work with, and she was quite notorious in the newspapers for developing a basically alchemical, like a biological war weapon that she was going to unleash that would have been to help the efforts of Eastern Darvasta. but it would have impacted them by basically killing off thousands, if not more, of innocent civilians in the process. It was some sort of chemical. You remember something about some sort of biochemical warfare that she was known for, and him mentioning he was once an apprentice of hers until she was captured. But that's all you recall. That's some
She'll note
details
that.
about some headlines you saw about that name.
She'll note it as we walk over. She'll kind of let Crystal take the lead, though.
So as you guys approach him, he is in his room, and he has thrown stuff about just pretty much everywhere. But it does have a level of organization to it. But he has set up an alchemy station on a side table, and you'll notice he's got 2 books out. One that is very well worn and written in and looks old, and one that he is copying stuff down, making notes, changes, and stuff like that. And he is working on whatever concoctions. Currently.
Could you get a little closer to the mic, Shadow? We're having a little
Oh.
hard time hearing you.
I am sorry. Is that better?
Thank you. I think so.
So do I need to repeat any of that?
I think I got most of it. Organized chaos.
Organized alchemy station chaos.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it.
Well, and
Organized mess.
he
And
he
2
has
books.
he has an old book that is well worn, fully written in, and he's got a new book that he is rewriting things down and changing things and adding notes and stuff as he is working.
So I will look around, and I would know where his room is. Or
Yeah, do you have the door open? Okay. So the room is circular, and then the area, the lounge area, is in the very center. And so all the rooms are kind of off in this circular area. So if he has the door open, it's just a matter of standing up from where you're at or just walking over, and you'll be able to see him. So easy to tell which room he claimed.
Okay, so I'll walk over and motion Wisteria to follow me, and I'll go over and I'll knock on the door sill. Excuse me, Dr. E.
Oh, hello.
Can we bother you a bit? Perhaps you'd care to join us for a cup of tea. And I'd like to thank you for the potion. Not just sure what I'll do with it or when I'll use it, but it's very kind of you. So if you'd like to join us, we'd love to get to know more about you.
Oh, it's no bother at all. Yes. Oh, 1 second. And he almost literally buries his nose in his book and starts scribbling madly until a moment later he's finished, and he'll stand up straight and, you said tea?
Yes, tea. I think they have some out in the wing, the lobby area.
At the word tea, some little clockwork servants come on up, and they have a little tray and they hold it up, and there's some hot tea.
Oh, I do love these guys.
They're
He'll
quite handy.
pat one on the head and take the cup of tea.
It chitters at you with little gears moving. Goes clonking off.
Crystal will look for a spot where there's maybe sort of 3 chairs that are in proximity and kind of motion that we should go sit there.
Yeah, there's some 3 like armchairs that are a little off to the side, and then the 2 playing chess are sitting at some more like cushioned dining chair types at a small table that they're playing at. Then there's a longer couch, but there's a couple of armchairs that are kind of, you can kind of drag over the 3 of them and make use of them.
And I'll look around. And while we're at it, I'm gonna go fetch Kieran. Is it? I'm gonna go see if I can fetch Kieran and have her join us too, and we can have a little chit chat.
Yeah, we'll try to get another chair over.
All right, that sounds good. So I will look around and try to find Kieran.
What's Kieran doing all this?
Kieran is probably in as quiet of a spot that she can find where they're not open windows, but there are windows in this thing, right?
Yes, this is the Chimera Collective is in a very tall building, and the headquarters are kind of at the top, and that's why you have actually a pretty nice view, because the cityscape, you're in the city of Corventus, which is sort of modeled after London, but in like an industrial age. So there's a lot of factories, a lot of smoke. It's hard to see the sky usually, but this building is pretty tall, so you're actually able to see the sky. And it's a little bit farther away from some of the factories. So you've got some pretty nice vistas, a view of the cityscape and the harbor in the distance,
Is it
and the
nighttime yet?
stars in the sky.
Is it night yet?
It is nighttime, yes, it has been.
Then she would find a window that has the most exposure to the moon, and she would be sitting there reading her prayer book.
Okay, the quietest space, the space that would have the most exposure to the moon was the briefing room, but Lord Acastus is using that right now. So besides that, the bedrooms have pretty tall windows. So you can probably find a nice quiet space in your own bedroom and you look at each room and pick the room that has the clearest view of the moon.
Yeah, she would probably do that more than likely.
Okay. So do you have the door open or closed?
How late is it?
It's probably around like 8:30, 9.
Oh, she'd probably just leave the door open then.
Okay.
All right. So Crystal would be able to see her, so she's going to go over and knock on the door on the sill again.
Oh, it's open. She's just sitting by the window, like humming, reading her book.
Excuse me, Kieran?
The door is open, right?
Yeah, but it ain't polite to disrupt somebody without knocking first. Where would my manners be?
Okay, I guess. I'm not used to that, because, like, there are a lot of us, and if we spent the time to wait to knock and people answer doors, we'd never find anybody or get into rooms and stuff. So, yeah. Did you want to read scriptures with me?
Well, actually, Kieran, not right now. There's a group of us just trying to sort of having a little bit of a chat, get to know each other better before we head out tomorrow. And we was wondering if you'd have a few minutes to join us for a cup of tea, perhaps a biscuit if you'd like. Maybe there's even cookies. I don't know.
Oh, I love cookies.
Cookies are British biscuits, so you're covered.
Come and have a bite to eat and a cup of tea with us, and let we'll get to know you a bit. And Kieran, don't worry about the door thing. I grew up in a not so good place myself. Lots of people and not much personal space, but I try to fit in with the upper people now, and I know they're real big on this knocking door thing and polite thing and personal space thing. So I try to remember to do that. I have to think about it, but I try.
Only Mother Superior's door is closed, really. But if you go into a room without permission, you kind of get the paddle, so kind of keeps us out of there, unless you know how to get in there. But shh, I know how to get in. She's got lots of pretty stuff.
I won't tell anybody. Come on, let's go have that tea.
She follows you, and she you would notice that when she closes her book, the chain that she has on her book is clips and unclips, and it has the beads are like different stars and moons, and they kind of look like in a prayer bead pattern. They're in different couplets along the chain, and she basically hooks it. Like when you were talking to her, she was absent-mindedly moving beads through her fingers, and then when she went to close her book, she basically kind of like a carabiner latches it to the book and places it back on her hip. And you would think it would be kind of heavy because she's about like 5 foot nothing, and it's a pretty big book she lifts around, but it just seems kind of odd.
So you guys all sit down and have a chance to have some like small talk with each other. Was there anything in particular you want to talk about, or should we just kind of force forward to the next day here in a moment as you guys just take a moment to kind of get to know each other and have some tea?
Some simple, polite conversation.
Okay. I would like, since Dr. E is out of this bedroom now, can I get history checks from the rest of you guys to see if you recall, now that you've seen him again, kind of recalling what he was talking about before?
I rolled low. 15.
Yeah, that's a 2. That's not happening.
Yeah, Kieran, being, living the life you live, you didn't really see a lot of headlines. You were more devoted to your goddess and whatnot, and read those types of things. Lots of scripture, but not so much newspapers. What about the rest of you?
I got 15.
18.
15 and 18?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Elowen, you know pretty much the same thing that I told to Wisteria. You know kind of those headline informations. Burbark, though, you seem to recall rumors that somebody close to her. I'm trying to remember her name. I'm already forgetting it. Gertrude Amelia Geist, the doctor who was accused of these war crimes, that someone close to her turned her in. You remember hearing rumors about that. And there was in the underground, there was talk about like what that person's motives might have been, whether they wanted to take over her business, or they were trying to get rid of her, or they were doing something, actually out of the goodness of their heart, trying to protect the country of Darvasta. There's a lot of speculation around that, and it was someone that was close to her, but you didn't know any more details than that because they kept the name out of the papers. Maybe he could be related to that.
I think if at one point we decided to part ways, I'll ask Guthier if he would like to sit and have a game while everyone else retires. Just one more game.
Okay.
So, Guthier.
Oh, yes, sir.
Are you interested in a game?
Game of intellect and strategy, always.
Wonderful. And it'll get to about the mid game before he actually starts questioning. So about like 20 turns in.
And you notice that this is a challenge. That you kind of were up for a casual game, and then you kind of sit up in your chair and adjust yourself a little bit because he is bringing it, and you haven't had an opponent this good in a long time based on both of your intellect scores. It's a challenging game for both of you.
I dare say this is a bit of a corker, isn't it? You're really good at this.
Thank you. I've had some decent opponents and teachers in my time.
Speaking of teachers, I don't want to be rude, but I was wondering if you could perhaps shed some light on your previous employment.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your previous employment before the Chimera.
Oh, yes. Well, I studied at the Blackbridge Academy for several years under many tutors and professors, and specialized in alchemical sciences, dabbled in the arcane, always fun. And yes, soon after, I was picked up by one of the more prolific professors there, and she took me under her wing, and I apprenticed her for several years.
Ah,
And then,
and
shortly after that, I found myself under the gaze of the Chimera Collective, and here I am.
wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad they found you. Now, I know that Kieran managed to turn down her vial, and he'll pull out two.
Oh, why would she do that?
Why, indeed. However, I was wondering if I could learn just a little bit more from you, and I'd be able to make a promise to you.
Oh, promise.
If you can tell me about the capture of said professor, I'll drink both of these vials at one time, when the time is needed. See what kind of...
They are two different, right?
Yeah, the eggshell white and the gold one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not much to be said that wasn't. Let's see here. She was working on something that would have basically killed many people, but that's all well known and reported upon. But yes, I believe the Chimera Collective itself had a great influence in her downfall, and as far as I know, she's locked somewhere where even the sun won't find her. So,
Rightly so. Would you be able to tell me if you were the good Samaritan that let them know?
oh, I have been called many things, but never a good Samaritan.
It's not a yes
he'll
or a no.
move a chess piece.
So, regardless, it's good that someone like her is behind some, I guess, aforementioned bars at this moment. And he'll move his piece.
I mean, me personally, I hope there aren't any bars there, because if there were, she'd probably find a way to use them against her captors.
Oof. That much of a clever girl, is she?
The bigger, the deeper, the darker the hole, the better.
And it's at this point that these floating globes above you that have been giving you guys light start to dim, indicating like it's sort of the Chimera Collective's way of going like, agents, get your butts to bed, get some sleep, you got a big day tomorrow.
Oh.
You're not in training anymore. You can't stay up all night.
Oh.
Burbark will actually take a look at the board. I think we could pick this up later while we're on the airship.
Oh yes, I'll remember exactly where all the pieces were.
Same as me, old good friend. Gwithir, right?
Correct.
Curses with keen mind.
Not a keen mind, just slightly intelligent enough to remember where things are.
Yeah, not you, him.
Oh, him? Oh boy,
Yeah, fuck
fun.
that guy. Fuck that guy.
The DM's
right.
curse.
He has to do
And-
it in Mass Effect, and he's doing it here.
Yes.
Hey, it fit the bill perfectly for this character.
It
so I
did
don't
fit.
give a
That's
crap.
why I
Really
didn't
does.
kibosh it.
And he'll collect the pieces, and I bid you good night, sir. Try and rest easy, knowing that she is gone.
And you as well. I'm sure there are several people who would rest easier if they ever knew what danger they had potentially faced. Anyways,
Thank you for your honesty, sir.
So you all head out to your individual rooms for the night and rest, and wake up the next morning. And you're given, breakfast. You are given some documents to protect your covers to hand over to authorities as needed, to prove your new covers. You were all given like various different last names, but they kept your first names intact, not your agent names, because those are always kept secret for those that have them. But just to make it easy on you guys to remember, they kept your first names and changed your last names, unless you
I made a
specifically
fake name.
requested your cover to remain. Like, if any of you, like with Burbark, he might have like an existing cover with that name. So if you would like to keep your last name because you are essentially yourself, we can establish that. Otherwise, the last names are changed. So everyone okay with last names being changed?
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so new covers.
I had a first name too, just in case.
Since Mysteria is a cover name, are we resorting back to the original name?
What would you, for in your instance, though they can use
She'll take it.
Mysteria, but if you would like a different name to be used, we could retcon say you told them that.
Yeah, different name.
Okay, so
She
what
doesn't
name
mind
would you
her-
like?
She'll use her actual first name and just
Okay.
take a last name.
Okay, I don't remember what it is. Sorry.
It's on the
I want
card.
to double check to make sure I'm correct. I do believe I had it. No, I
Does
haven't used
my-
it so long. I know it, but I want to make sure I'm.
Nope, I got it. Hold up. Hold up.
Does my
Holding.
false last name
Ilvara?
also start with
There
E?
you go.
Elvara,
Ilavara?
like with an I, Ilvara.
Yeah,
Il-
Illavara.
Oh, why did I take it off your
Elvara.
card?
Okay,
I'm gonna change that for next time because I actually had your name on that card too. Well,
she's got a lot of names on there now.
I have a lot of names. I already
Names
had a
upon
couple names.
yep.
All right, so the next day, again, breakfast, cover documents. You're sent to the teleportation circles, and one after the other, you appear at another teleportation circle that is in a building, several buildings away from the airship. We'll call them docks because I don't know what to call them. Airship yards. I
mean, doc sounds.
Technically,
That's
it'd
good.
just be an
Yeah.
it'd be an airfield.
Airfield, thank
thing,
you. We'll
yeah.
go with airfield. And it's just a quick walk, accompanied by Agent Phalanx, who takes you on over there where you meet a crowd waiting to board. In the crowd, you see Agent Phalanx make her way over to an older woman, who you assume is the ambassador, as she is an ambassador's bodyguard, in the disguise or cover as her personal assistant. Beside the ambassador is a younger man, very charismatic and charming. He seems to be flirting with a young starlet that's beside him and is kind of hanging off of his arm. And he's just got this very kind of cocky demeanor about him. And several other individuals who you will meet shortly, but some notable ones include a turtle gentleman with like a fine fedora, and he's got a bag full of different maps and items and that he's carrying with him, and he seems a bit grumpy about having to wait and stand in line. His head is kind of shaking. And you see a couple of crewmen, including a bugbear crewman, half-orc crewman, a goblin in an officer's uniform, and the crewman, the goblin is kind of directing the other crewmen as they bring in some large cargo and presumably take it off to be loaded into the cargo bay. You do see a tiefling that seems to match the description of the Secretary of State. He's a very pale white tiefling with long white hair. And next to him, yapping at the crewman taking the boxes away, is a small dachshund on a leash. And the dachshund has a little collar with a medal on it, as if he was a little general himself.
Of course.
And
course.
The general is kind of just polite, just kind of gently going, "Oh, Rufus, just you don't." Oh no, he doesn't have that voice. Hold on. He's got a Russian accent. Gotta get my Darvastan accent going.
In Mother
Knew it.
Russia.
Rufus, why you doing that? Just calm down. Don't be like that. Just be good dog. And
Are we all there?
yeah, you're all together right now. Although you may want to start separating into different groups based on your covers. There is a dragonborn, a bronze dragonborn. It's a little closer to the ship, who seems to be kind of arms crossed, just looking over the crowd. Seems to be the head of security type person. That might be the person for Crystal to reach out to. There's Captain, what you assume is the captain, because the other officers seem to be taking orders from him. And he is a very good looking gentleman of darker complexion, sort of like chocolate skin. And he's got this kind of scarf around his neck and his kind of captain's uniform. And he has his hair shaved on the sides, and he's got dreadlocks and up into a ponytail. And there's a young girl kind of tugging on his jacket, and she's got braids all in her hair, also chocolate skin, wearing a really cute little sundress and stockings, but the stockings have all gotten torn up already because she's been running around. So she's trying to get his attention. So what would you guys like to do as you're about to board the ship? Is there anything you'd like to do beforehand? It looks like they're going to be boarding shortly.
I would walk over to the Dragonborn who appears to be security and say, "Excuse me, if you be the head of security, I'm reporting for duty," and hand her the papers I would have.
She takes the papers and, or no, he, sorry. Is it a he? I'm confusing her for Gina.
First Officer Montague.
Yeah, it should be Kelvin Montague.
Kelvin, yeah, no, he's a man. He kind of grunts in affirmation and nods over towards the crowd and says, "Make sure they stay in line. This all looks in order. What do I call you?"
Crystal.
Chris. Okay. All right, Chris. Go on over there and make sure that they, don't bother the crew too much, really. They're usually this fancy lot, like to make a lot of special requests, and we've got a timetable to keep.
Yes, sir. Would I know, do they have a salute? And would I know what it was to use it?
You give me a history check.
I have no idea.
You kind of try to make a few motions. You're like, you kind of do an awkward bow and then stop yourself, and then just eventually kind of turn and walk away because you're not really sure. He just kind of raises an eyebrow.
To be fair, every newbie recruit does that in the military. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not just like personal
Blended
guards
in.
or nothing. It's everybody.
London.
And he's not military, he's personal security. So
I know.
It's even worse.
It's even worse.
he's just a little confused, but didn't think too much of it, I guess.
Wisteria has changed out her normal garb for just kind of like a nice casual dress for, travel dress.
Got it.
I'm going to approach the Dragonborn and his dachshund and be like,
Okay.
"Oh my goodness, your dog is the most handsome dog I have ever seen. Do you mind if I give him some loves?"
Oh, Rufus loves the love. You give him pets.
Oh, lots of pets. Aren't you this most adorable thing?
Pets from lovely lady. Who could complain?
When she pets him, Kieran's gonna run over and go, "Can I pet your dog too, please?"
Oh, lovely ladies love Rufus. Yeah, please, more. He needs attention, We got so angry on the carriage right over here.
Oh no.
I sleep, He'd not get scratches. So
It's so hard. But he's being such a good dog.
when he mentions that he didn't get any scritches, Kieran is just going to just full bore scritch all over his head.
Mm-hmm.
The dog's tail is wagging, and he does that thing that dachshunds do because they're wiener dogs, right? So they're long. So when he wags his tail hard, his whole butt moves.
Yeah.
It's just back and forth. So he goes, "So what brings lovely ladies to Big Ship today? Huh? I'm here business, boring, what about you?"
Just some travel. I just want to see the lands and see what's around. Got money to spend, and why not take it on an airship?
Oh, that's so perfect. Airship, I hear, is really nice. I've been on a few smaller, but this is my first trip on Zephyr.
Never been on the Zephyr myself. I haven't been on any airships. Do you have any tips about how to travel on them?
Don't fall off.
Valid.
That is a very good tip. I will have to try and keep that in mind.
You look like smart girl. I'm sure you'll stay on the ship. Also, it's pretty smooth ride. Storms, it gets a little scary, but it's mostly fine.
Well, how can anyone be scared with this big strong doggy around?
I know Rufus is such a gentleman. He'll look out for everybody.
I really hope we get to meet again.
Yes, I must be joining my party, but thank you so much.
I'll be around. I do business. Ugh. But I like to have whiskey in the morning, so you'll find me, I'm sure.
I'm sure we'll meet again.
Is your business import, export, or stuff like that?
No. He leans in close and goes, politic.
Oh, I don't have to worry about that. Mommy and Daddy take care of all that stuff.
Oh, who are you, dear? I'm so rude. I didn't ask for your names.
So she'll give a little curtsy. And she'll go, did you give me my last name already? Or
You can make it up. It's fine. I'm
okay.
not. I'm dealing with too many names. Done with names.
She says, well, I am Princess Kieran Dior, and I don't know if you know us, but we're from this little tiny island called Boxes.
Maybe so. My lady, and he takes your hand and gives you a little kiss on the hand and pats it. So pleasure to meet you, princess.
And she pulls out a fan and flaps it open and does the whole discreet flashing covering her face thing.
Rufus, you got scratches from princess. Just moving up in the world, Rufus.
Oh, he's so cute. He's not like the dogs at the castle. They're all big and burly and rough and tough. And my brothers and stuff like to play with them and get all dirty and roll in the mud and stuff.
Oh, but they're cute, I bet.
I mean, I guess. I mean, they were cute when they were puppies, and then they got big and all slobbery and stuff.
Oh, I must show you, my babies. And he takes out this thing from his wallet, and he has pictures of just animals upon animals upon animals. It's birds,
you find the giraffe,
and lizards, and snakes, and dogs galore, and cats, and one giraffe.
He actually has a giraffe?
Yeah, here's a picture of the giraffe. He goes, "That's Gary."
And she's like, I love giraffes. They're so weird. Why are their necks so long?
I don't know.
It's
I'll have to ask Jerry.
It's do you run a zoo, or are they just all your pets or something?
No, they're just my babies, So, anyway, I'm so sorry. I don't even know if I introduced myself. I am Secretary of Defense, retired, but General Novik Mastig at your service, my dear princess.
And she curtsies again. She's charmed.
Yes. And you, milady, what is your name?
Well, I am Lady Avaria Beckwith. It is a pleasure to meet you, and a pleasure to meet you, Your Highness.
Oh, I'm on vacation. Don't worry about that stuff. Only my mother and father worry about all that title nonsense.
Good to know. I hope we can become fast friends while we're on our journey.
Well,
Okay.
I need to get Rufus to the relief he needs to pay.
Understandable. We hope to see you around.
I'm sure you will. Come say hi anytime, beautiful ladies. And he kind of walks off and to take Rufus to pee one more time before getting on the airship. Anyone else you'd like to talk to before boarding as they kind of start moving the line forward?
More trying to blend into the crowd and as I get on the ship.
Got it.
The turtle gentleman. I'll kind of sidle up next to him. A lot of hurry up and wait around here, isn't it?
He kind of stumbles with his bag a little bit. Yeah, it's like that a lot.
Oh, you've done this plenty of times before.
I do a lot of travel, you know.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, where have you been? Or maybe so both ask.
Well, I'm, interested in, I travel mostly to areas that are of an environmental interest. So, the past several years I've been studying the effects of the war in Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's been pretty rough, but I got a hard shell, so.
That does help, I'm sure.
It does. But I've got some pretty interesting data to deliver at the peace talks. I'd like them to take into consideration the impacts the war has had on the environment. So.
Is that everything that you're carrying right now? It looks like a heavy load.
No, there's a crate with more. They're loading it on.
Looks over. Oh.
Lots of charts.
Charts. Samples?
You wouldn't believe the effect on the environment that I've studied. It's been that they poisoned a lot of the waterways with their machines of war, and there's been several species of birds that no longer can lay their eggs in their usual breeding grounds, and so it's really impacted the population of the migratory mosquito factor. And he just kind of rambles on.
At that point, it's just like, war. What is it good for?
And right in the middle of all this, my character comes bustling straight through the line, trying to get to the front of the line, bumping into people. Oh, hey, excuse me. Ship's medic. I'm needed on board right now. And gets up to the front of the line and hands the papers. Yes. Diseases to cure and festering boils and appendages to take off. And I need to. Can I get on board, please?
Kelvin grunts and just nods for you to move on in.
Kind of like, if you look back at the group, like you just see Charlie just like give a wink.
I'm gonna roll for Kelvin to to see if he thinks that was at him.
The answer better be yes.
Kelvin kind of like and looks a little awkwardly turns away a little bit.
Like Gwithyr, sorry, I meant Gwithyr.
Oh yeah, but he's right next to.
Yeah, I know. But that's only if Gwithyr looked back at us. Sorry, my name's got mixed up.
I'm still keeping it that he thinks you ain't.
Yeah. Don't ruin this, weirds. Don't ruin it.
Yeah. You can't take
Let it happen. Let it
I
happen.
can see it too, but Calvin thinks that you might have a thing. So Calvin's very confused right now by several of your party, but
Oh well.
Except for the medic, he acted pretty much the way he would anticipate someone who had business on the ship to act. So good job there. So I guess we'll just go ahead and have you guys file on in. So you all go into the ship, and you're shown to your cabins. You can put your things down. You were given the items that you requested from the tailors. You'll have that in your suitcases. So we will reveal that when we get to the dinner scene. We'll have you guys describe what your outfits look like. But for now, they're going to be off in your rooms, and Phalanx takes a moment to come by and just as you guys are settling in, she'll swing by each of you, and you're each in kind of different areas. I think most of you went to your cabins. Crystal, you went to the crew's quarters, so you followed some of the other security down to their crew's quarters to put your stuff down there. And Dr. E, you were taken over to the medical lab. So it's not too hard. You asked a couple of people, and you kind of generally knew where this kind of thing usually is on a ship. So you find it without too much trouble. But Phalanx finds each of you and just kind of reminds you of your mission to keep your covers intact, investigate what's going on in the ship, and look out for suspicious individuals' activity or anything just that could potentially go wrong, and that she would be with the ambassador at all times. She also told you that the layout of the ship and gave you guys kind of a brief rundown. So the top level is where the recreation hall is, where there's the theater, the gambling room, the bar, the dining area. It's all there. The VIP suites are also on that floor at the front, the bow, and the stern of the ship, and the ambassador is in the bow. The Secretary of Defense is in the stern. The lower level is where most of the normal cabins are. There is another VIP suite there, and that's taken up by Dimitri, the grandson. And a lot of the other residents, as well as yourselves, or not residents, but passengers, will be staying on the second floor. The second floor also, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to make a map. Maybe next episode.
Fair enough.
The second deck also has like an exercise room and is where you'll find the kitchens or the galley. There's about 24 guest cabins in total, and then the bridge is also can be found there, as well as some of the crew quarters. The engineers' quarters are in the third level next to engineering, which is at the third level. Pretty much no passengers go to the third level. I have no reason to go there because it's all crew. But that's where the engine and those that work in that area, their cabins are, as well as the cargo bay. So that gives you kind of a quick little rundown. I'll remind you guys of where shit is. If you want to go find something or think a ship should have something, we'll just invent a place for it. I'm pretty open about this. Lucy can see about
Where's
this
the
giant
kitchen?
Zeppelin.
I want to go to the kitchen.
I already told you, galley's on the second floor.
Thank you, ma'am.
They bring food up on a dumbwaiter. It's all good. So you guys are kind of you do have a moment where you guys can meet back up if you want to, because there's several hours. You are going to be expected at dinner tonight, but there's several hours before the ship's going to kind of slowly get to elevation, and people are welcome to kind of wander about the cabins and stuff and get settled. But during this time, a lot of people are just kind of getting settled. There will be a show later tonight. You hear talk of it being by these two Tabaxi sisters who are going to be performing. And so that will be kind of the entertainment for the evening. So, and you are expected, it's kind of a really good opportunity. Agent Phalanx kind of lets you guys know it's a good opportunity to kind of mingle and maybe infiltrate, get some more information about some of the important passengers. So,
yeah, I wanted
but
to know
you do
if
have
the
some time to
ambassador was
yourselves.
out and about. If she's out and about at all.
The ambassador is she would be kind of getting settled in her suite right now.
Dang it.
But
Okay.
she does plan to attend the dinner later.
Oops. Okay.
Do this security have sort of everyday uniforms that I would be issued one of, so I would kind of fit in, or?
Yes. So you are fitted. You are given when you get to the main security's quarters. There is an uniform there for you. However, in the evening, you are welcome to wear your more formal uniform or formal attired dress, whatever you have planned for it, because they do want their security to look a little bit nicer during the big dinner events.
And would my quarters be on the second floor in the crew there, or the third level with the crew?
Yours would be on the second floor because they want security to, even if they're off duty, to have quicker access to all portions of the ship, which would be if you were located in the second floor, you would have quicker access. So.
Okay, and would there be shift assignments that I should be worried about, or?
There are shift assignments. So you're given a shift assignment. It doesn't start until after the dinner. So you're kind of welcome to get settled or take part in some of the festivities. Like, they're not too strict about like security not fully mingling. They just want you to be a bit more respectful and make sure that you don't you need to be still in uniform even if you're off duty, because you're pretty much like, when you're on the ship, you're pretty much like always on duty, but you're like, your actual watch isn't until after dinner. So for now, you're able to kind of roam and just keep an eye out. Let me phrase it that way. So you're still working, but you're able to roam. You don't have a particular location you have to stay.
Perfect. Okay. So what I would be doing is I would get into my uniform, put my things away, and I would be sort of chatting up any of the other crew that I could, trying to get to know them, try to get a feel for, does everybody seem kind of above board, or is there anybody that strikes me as nervous or a bit off or anything? And I would be trying to do that.
Okay. And which crew are you kind of checking out right now?
Basically the security crew that's on the second level where I am. Anybody that I see, I'll greet them and just try to kind of do sort of a bit of an assessment, or if say hello and introduce myself.
Give me an insight check as you're greeting and talking to these people to see if anyone pings for you.
Oh, well, that might be better. So insight would be a D20 plus. Insight. Oh, all right. 15.
With a 15, so most of the security seem to be pretty above board. The head of security seemed a little off-putting. He's pretty gruff and short. Like he doesn't say very much, and he seems to kind of he just gives you kind of a bit of a weird vibe. But it could just be because he's in a position of authority and he's just a little grumpy. But you have a harder time getting a read on him. The rest seem to be pretty much what you would have expected. They are, talking about their families back home. They're looking forward to a bit of time on the island of Chaytal because they normally wouldn't be able to afford a trip there. Things like that. So in terms of the security crew, nothing seems to be standing out apart from like maybe the head of security right now.
I think in the meantime, since the ambassador is just kind of residing in her quarters for right now, Ellen wants to get a good view of the layout and just kind of see where everything is. So she's probably just going to be taking just a casual stroll, taking her sweet time, no rush at all, just kind of walking around, observing the whole ship, at least what she is able to see without any restrictions.
Give me an investigation. As you're kind of walking around looking.
Okay. That is a dirty 20.
Okay. So walking through the halls, again, everyone's kind of milling about, putting things away, chatting in the halls and things. But you do notice that there is a grate that runs along most of the hull areas in the ship that seems to be like a maintenance tunnel. And there's a couple places where you can see kind of the telltale sign of there being like a hatch here and there that could lift up. And you also see that there seems to be vents above you that also create more passageways for to get to things for either maintenance or for keep the air flowing throughout the ship. There is you do clock a few of the locations that lead to the lower levels. There's the obvious stairs that are ornate and designed for guests, and then you do clock several crew entrances and exits throughout the ship, so you're aware of those. You find where the bridge is. Like, you pretty much have been able with that roll to find everything, and you know where things are.
Okay.
And
is there any restricted areas aside from the obvious? Like, I know sometimes like I may not be able to just walk into the kitchen, but is there any areas that seem like, no, you're not allowed in here, and they're not giving a reason why?
Like they're pretty nice to guests.
Okay.
So they might try to discourage, like when you walk by the galley, there is this kind of almost like a little punk rocker halfling. He's got tattoos all over him, piercings everywhere, and he's standing one leg on a stool, and the other he's just kind of balancing on one stool, and he's cooking some things, and he seems generally pretty friendly, but he does kind of like try to scoot you along.
Okay.
And when you get to the bridge, again, they're pretty nice, but they do tell you, oh, sorry, we're not doing any chores right now, we're trying to get the ship in the air. And
okay.
So you do see there's a goblin woman who seems to be the first officer, who is in the bridge at the time, as well as the helmsman, which is a kind of a nervous looking fellow human who is working on getting the ship up. And you are not able to get into the lower levels at the third level unless you actually want to go into one of the maintenance hatches or into one of the crew entrances or exits to get to the lower level. There is no guest easy access to that area.
Okay.
So you're not sure if it's guarded on the other side or not. You'd have to tell me if you want to go there to see what happens. But it seems like, based on how inviting other areas are versus how not inviting that is, you're gathering that you shouldn't be there.
Okay, and when I look at the vents, if no one's around, I'll just kind of test one of the hatches and just kind of get a feeling to see if you can fit a normal sized person in there and comfortably, and see if we can maneuver easily throughout these vents.
With your investigation, I would say that your guess is that they could definitely get through the door, but you're not sure inside what happens.
Okay.
It could get narrow in certain passages or pathways, but right now it looks wide enough that a person could get in. Maybe not the Lexidon, but or Loxodon.
Yeah,
He might, his ears and his trunk could have a hard time.
I'm sorry, I don't want to get sucked out into the middle of the air. Thank you.
Yeah,
no.
or just get stuck in general.
Have like a Winnie the Pooh moment.
My ears are sensitive enough. Thank you.
Yeah. So probably anyone else of my members of my team, minus the Loxodon.
Okay.
So she'll, like I said, she'll take her sweet time doing that. Just kind of take note of the passengers as well as everything else on the ship, and just kind of try to memorize to her best of abilities where everything is, and some of the crewmen, and eventually make her way back to her quarters before dinner, because I imagine this would take a while for her to walk through everything.
And just to be clear, you kind of just glanced at the passengers because you were, with the investigation and everything, you were more fully focused on getting a lay of the ship.
That's fair. Yeah.
So if that's something someone else wants to try to do, to go to a certain area and look around, like, I'm going to leave that open for them. So I'm not going to let you make you roll for that, because your full focus was on the getting the lay of the ship.
Understandable.
And I will say that Dr. E, when you make your way over to the medic bay, you see that the resident doctor there is about halfway through a bottle of vodka, fantasy vodka, whatever it would be called in this world. I haven't come up with a name for it yet. And she's kind of like just got her legs up on the counter, and she is a gnome, and she's gotten her way through a normal-sized person's bottle of vodka. And she's pretty sauced. So she sees you. She's got these big glasses, and she goes, "Oh, you're the help. Great.
Yes. Dr. Edwards. Dr. Edwards, at your service.
Nice to meet you. Come here. Give me a shake."
I put my hands on both her shoulders and I shake her.
You got a sense of humor. I like that. So I'm the medical person aboard. My name's Janice. So if you have any questions, let me know. But based on what they showed me, your paperwork, you're pretty qualified. So I'm not so worried about you. You want a drink? Nothing really happens on these things. I'm going to tell you right now, honey. It's not exciting.
Well, that's good to know. However, I would like to just really quick. Where did you go to school?
Oh, I went to medical school in Bink. And you know Bink is an ally of Eastern Darvasta. You're working for the ambassador of Western Darvasta, just to keep things like associated. So Bink is an ally of Eastern Darvasta, and they are known for artificers and alchemists and their medical field, and a lot of the sciences is what the gnomes of Bink are known for.
Ah, good. Yes, I've heard many good things. So,
where are you from? Where'd you go get medical school from?
Would I know that saying Blackbridge Academy would be the wrong answer here?
Not necessarily. They do have a medical wing that they would have trained those that wanted to focus in that part of the field of magical sciences towards medicine. They would have that pretty much covered. And it is a prestigious school. It just has a darker underbelly to some people, but you don't know if she would know that or not.
And
publicly, it's a very prestigious school.
And I would know the names of the professors of medicine.
Yeah, probably. Well, let's see. Give me a history roll, because you were more on alchemy side.
History, you say? That's 23.
Oh yeah, you're familiar with all the heads of department, as well as some of the more popular professors.
So I pick one that's not like top tier, but somewhere,
Name drop.
Yeah, and I dropped that name. I studied at the Blackbridge Academy under Professor such and such.
Oh, fancy. Yeah, I think I've read a paper or something on that Professor such and such. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I think they were working with that, the amputee stuff, working on prosthetics. That was good work. It was good work.
Oh yes, the College of Artificers there has come quite a long way in replacing limbs.
Yep. If I could just get them to replace my liver, it would be good.
This accent's killing me.
Could you ever press a dissertation like a liver? Clean it up. Just clean up the liver.
I think you have to see something to prestidigitation it, so...
I mean, if you had a skilled surgeon who could cut them open to show you the liver...
Yeah. Just pet it. Just like, good liver, good liver.
Here's the best part. Did you decide to keep the bone saw that you mentioned earlier?
Well, it turns into anything I want when I want.
So he'll just be like,
exactly.
Scalpel. Just cut it open.
But I was just wondering if it was still in that setting when she said surgery. I was like,
Anyway, honey, just make yourself comfortable. Our quarters are back there. There's some bunks. It ain't much, but it's a thing. I got a very well-stocked alcohol cabinet, though, I'll tell you that much. I always make sure that they get that right.
Good to know. What I would like to do right now, though, is, better prepared, safe than sorry, such and such. Have you the reports on any special medical needs of the crew and or the travelers?
Yeah, there's a few allergies, the usual. I passed that on over to Larkin in the gallery already, so he should be working on that. But there's also that Novik guy, he's some politician. He's got a prosthetic leg, so he might be coming in to get that adjusted or whatnot. Maybe your professor or whatever from whatever worked on him. I don't know. But we've got some things to replace parts for prosthetics over here in this cabinet. So you just go right over there, honey, and get what you need if he comes in. Okay, he's pretty.
Okay. Well, I was hoping to get eyes on the list that I might familiarize myself with the needs of the crew. And
yeah, doll, the medical files over there. Help yourself.
and
she points to your cabinet.
He grabs the entire file, like the entire drawer, pulls it all the way out, and puts it on a desk and starts reading everything.
Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing with your fucking keen mind. So, and we will be going to break shortly. I just want to know what is Kieran and Bert? What is everybody else doing? We'll start with Kieran. What's she doing?
Well, she's not like, a spy or anything like that. She doesn't. I mean, she's never been trained. I mean, she's basically a medic, like a battle medic.
So you would have gotten some basic training in not necessarily interrogation, but being undercover, and protecting your cover. You would have gotten some basic training and some, like, whether or not you were good at that, your skills in healing were good enough to offset it. So you can still be kind of bumbling, but you did receive some basic training on how to act when you're on the job in this.
I mean, she has a pretty high charisma, so she's not like, investigation's not her thing. She's gonna try and smooth the crowd and see if maybe Perfect. she can cozy up to some people or a particular person who might just be, blabbing. She's not necessarily trying to, find information. She's trying to see if she can find, someone she can, schmooze into giving something willingly. But what she's also going to do is, before she while she can, she's going to cast invisibility on herself, and for the next hour, she's going to be able to see anything that's invisible.
Okay, got it. So where are you going to hang out? Where are you going to try to do this people watching?
Where the rich people are.
That would be those who are in their cabins right now are probably making their way over to the recreation hall on the top floor where the bar and the gambling is. So you're gonna make your way up over to the recreation hall, and you walk in, and it has these beautiful ornate double doors. You walk in, it's got this blue carpeted with a gold design on the floors. There's the gambling tables. There's some lounge areas. There's a stage, the bar, a couple of tables. And the ceiling, though, startles you for a moment. Can you give me a perception check?
Will my passive perception do anything, or is it an active perception?
I think you would look at this for sure. It's hard to miss it. I just want to see if you can see a little bit more details about it.
Alrighty, let's see.
So passive perception, you saw it, but let's get more details.
That's correct. That's 24.
Okay. At first you want to be, you're like, oh, and then you realize quickly that the ceiling is enchanted. You thought that there was no top to this Zeppelin for a second. But the ceiling is just enchanted to look like the sky and the clouds right now. So it looks like the open sky instead of a ceiling. But you can tell, you can look through and you can see through that enchantment. Your goddess Selene is one that's usually very resistant to such enchantments, and her power kind of flows through you in that moment and helps your eyes see through it, and you can see, oh yeah, there's a ceiling to that. That's cool. Tricky.
Yep. She in her mind, she's like, why are you why would you enchant a night sky when you can just put a window and just let us see it?
It's true.
But
it is daytime now, though, and so it is a daytime sky that's showing. Just to be clear.
But she has she has a -1 for intelligence, so
gotcha.
Engineering isn't her strong point.
Got it. But you see through that shit. It does not fool you. And so looking around, I'd like you to what are you looking for exactly? What kind of behavior are you trying to spot?
Well, I mean, she grew up in an orphanage, so she knows what people gossiping looks like.
Okay.
So that's
you're looking for the talkers.
Yeah, she's looking for the gossipers. So she knows what gossip looks like. So she's just gonna try and, see if she can inject herself into like a gossip circle.
Okay, we'll continue the perception that you rolled. So looking around the room, you see a pair of maids that are they're probably maids and waitresses. They're serving some drinks, and then they kind of go over to a corner and start like giggling and talking to each other and pointing at other people. So they seem like they might be good. There seems to be a very loud, boisterous Aarakocra parrot woman in what looks to be Chaytal kind of tribal but sort of fancy attire, and she's kind of talking very loudly and making large gestures at the bar. And you also take note that there's some quieter conversations going on. Dimitri, the ambassador's grandson, seems to be having a quieter conversation with an elf woman who's also kind of in Chaytal colors. And Chaytal is like a sort of like our Hawaii, so it's sort of like a Polynesian influenced look and coloring to them. So he's having sort of a quieter conversation away from that. You do see the Secretary of Defense Novik, who's feeding treats to his dog and kind of cooing to his dog. And there are two tabaxi women at the stage kind of setting up. And they're kind of chatting to each other. Everyone else is kind of not talking loudly and not looking like they're trying to be too secretive either. They're just sort of kind of average conversation, or they're gambling, or just kind of having a quiet drink to themselves. So, but those were kind of like the more significant people that seems to catch your eye. If you'd like to talk to any of them or try to listen in.
The Dimitri and the elf conversation seems like that will be the hardest one, because that just seems like it could be gossip or it can be
Yeah, you don't know.
I know, but she thinks her best shot right now would be to go over to the maids.
Okay.
The Aarakocra and the other Chaytal, and basically, she's just gonna like slide next to them and go, it looks like you girls know like the dirt of like what's what and who's who. Like, can you kind of clue me in on what's going
on? So you slide on up with and they immediately, like when they see you walking up, they kind of like straighten themselves and they go, "Oh, we're sorry, miss. Do you need can I get you something to drink? We were just, having a moment. Sorry to be rude."
Oh, please. Like, you don't have to put up like airs with me, I get enough of that at home. Like, I'm here on vacation, I'm gonna party, meet some people, but I want to know who I should be meeting, so it looks like you girls know who the right people are. So I was hoping you can maybe like clue me in. I'll make it worthwhile.
And give me a persuasion check.
Okay.
As they kind of look at each other and think.
That is a 19 total.
Wow. All right. So. I hear there's going to be a big party later tonight.
Oh, is it for someone?
And she points over at Dimitri.
he's throwing it in his room. VIP suite on the second floor. He's inviting some of the younger mucky mucks. I'm sure you could get an invite if you want.
Like, is he just doing it for people he knows? Or, you think if I just walk up, he looks kind of busy. Like, who's that Earthcar he's talking to?
I think he's being a little selective about who he's inviting, but it might be, the place to be if you're looking for some excitement.
And she thanks them, and like for like currency, like I know there's there's dragon silvers, yada yada, but I mean the valuation of money, she doesn't have per se money, but she works in a church, so she knows the value of money. And
sure. So what kind of you slip her, like, I'm not keeping track of coin because that's not what this campaign's about.
I don't want to slip them anything that's going to be.
You are funded.
I don't want to slip them anything that's going to be too big.
Okay.
Like, cause then it looks obvious.
Right.
Here's 200 gold, honey.
Yeah, like like if I gave them each a silver, would that be cool? As like a like a thank you tip?
Yeah, it's not like a gold. Yeah, it's like a little thank you tip. Yeah, that works out. So she takes it and just kind of slips it into one of her pockets that she has, and she'll trying to think of what else she might tell you. You asked for where the place to be was, like who the important people were to talk to as well.
Yeah.
Okay. She points over to where the let me see, who would it be?
The princess is a cheapskate. That's how they stay rich.
She does point out
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I missed something. I'm so sorry.
Chat's being silly.
Say the princess is a cheapskate. That's
Oh,
how they stay
yeah,
rich.
I know, right? Yeah.
That's how they stay rich.
They accept it. They'll also kind of look over at this gentleman with the mutton chops, and he's kind of having a quiet drink to himself. And they'll say, "Oh, and that's some sort of general from Western Dorvasta." Oh, wrong accent. Or maybe right accent. I don't know. I'm slipping in all kinds of accents. Oh, he's from Western Dorvasta. I'm just gonna use my own voice. And we know that he fucking hates the grandson. So there's a little like scuttlebutt for you.
Oh.
Also, I hear that he kind of treats us girls real like he always like acts all superior and stuff. Like, we've flown with him before. He's kind of a jerk, but he never turns down a challenge. So I've seen people challenge him to like darts, cards, all kinds of things. He'll never say no. Really into gambling, that one.
I mean,
but just, watch your butt. He's a little grabby.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, and then, she takes out like her fan, and she pulls on it a little bit, and then shows a little glint of steel. She's like, I'm prepared for things like that.
You go, girl. All right. You want some wine or something?
So I heard someone say that I should try something called a mimosa.
Oh, yeah. We got those. One moment. And she kind of goes off and comes back with your drink. It's got a little like swirl of orange peel on it.
God, you said the magic word. I want one now.
Yep.
I Oh, that sounds so good.
We should probably take a break real quick, and then we'll come back and see what Burbark is up to. So we're gonna take a quick break, stand up, stretch, get a drink, and then we'll be back shortly. Thank you, guys.
From the heat wave stole my emotions. I left my doubts when I was swept by the ocean, and every pulse from the tide was a finish line. A wave race we were made to ride. You and I were first in line, and we took them by surprise. I was with you all the time. You may not realize, but I'm here. I hear you loud and clear. When we get lost in our own minds, you'll be keeping me near. Let the feeling of realization in that I'm here. I hear you loud and clear. When we get lost in our own minds, you'll be keeping me near. You'll be keeping me
actually, before that, I
mean-
had one that was that I made myself that was
And
coffee
we're back.
Oh, hello.
I heard coffee. What?
and chocolate.
Ooh,
Oh.
good combo.
Coffee and chocolate and pumpkin spice and all
Just
kinds
for
of
you,
That-
Zoro, there's
good
a
things in the
pumpkin
world.
spice latte in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Be still, my basic bitch heart.
The only thing better would be an eggnog latte.
See,
Mm.
eggnog latte is fine. But man, that spice they have in the pumpkin.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice does have something special to it.
Yeah, they do. They do.
No.
I will give Fall this one.
Yeah,
one.
it's called pumpkin spice. It's in the name.
You know.
Don't you start with me.
Yeah, it's like the same music. I'm playing around with music. Sorry, guys.
I'm thinking this year I might make a couple bottles of coquito to keep in the fridge.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, that is Puerto Rican eggnog. I make mine without the egg because that way it lasts longer.
I didn't realize there was like some other lower beat that was going on. It was like a battle music blending with the vintage music.
I noticed that too, but it's
Blended in
worked.
well.
I've been enjoying the time
jazz.
period
What an
music.
East Coast
Yeah,
swing
just
to
kind of
this.
a jazz vibe. It's quite lovely.
Yep.
I
didn't.
was
notice
thinking
the-
flapper.
Mm-hmm. Let's bring that to mind.
That's part of East Coast.
I wish I had more. It's just that one track.
It's all good.
But,
It works.
but we will save it. I'm gonna put on something else for the time being so that we can have that during the dinner scene again. We'll bring that back. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do that for a little bit.
Mystery and intrigue.
Mystery. So, as my eye decides it wants to be itchy and hate me, we'll continue our story.
Been there,
let's
sister.
see what our other agents are up to. Burbark, what are you up to right now?
Harley Day has set up the chessboard again in the common area with everyone else.
The recreation
anybody-
hall? Okay.
Yep. And is just welcoming any challengers that wish to either have a friendly game or do a wager. He's not shying away from that.
Okay.
And on top of that, everybody who kind of comes across him, he's kind of reading into their thought process, seeing if there's anybody that seems to think of themselves, haughty above others or are just generally good folk. He's trying to get a good read of the room
Okay.
based on their personalities.
Give me a insight check.
Let me get. Oh, okay. That's going to be a 19.
Okay. So you see all the same stuff that that Kieran saw, that I said before, as well as you do catch sight of two gentlemen come in from one of the side doors, and one of them is a red-skinned tiefling who has kind of ram's horns, and he's got suspenders on, and he's got his jacket kind of over his shoulder and his sleeves rolled up, and he's got a little, like a notebook kind of sticking out of one of his pockets, and he's got a pen back behind one of his ears kind of propped up against one of his horns, and he's chatting with a shorter figure, looks to be a Kenku, who has a little kind of fedora hat with another notebook kind of in his band of his hat, and he has like some pencils kind of in a little pocket. He's kind of dressed a little bit similarly, only he's got his little coat on, and they seem to be kind of having some conversation, and then looking around the room and seeming to point at a few people and then talking to themselves. And you also catch sight of an argument that seems to have broken out between the two Tabaxi sisters over by the stage.
Entertainers.
You see, with that role, you would see Dimitri, the grandson of the ambassador, still talking to the woman from Chetal. and she occasionally turns and kind of like smiles and waves and greets someone else and then turns back to him. And you do notice that her expression seems to change whenever she turns back to Dimitri, to like a more serious expression. And when she turns to other guests, she seems to put on this sort of like customer service persona. And Dimitri is doing something kind of similar. When he's talking to her, he seems to have a bit more of like a serious, thoughtful expression. And then when he turns to, if someone comes up to him to kind of be like, hi, you know, blah, blah, blah. And cause, as it occasionally happens, because he is a familiar figure, he puts on kind of this more cocky, charismatic kind of demeanor to himself. And then turns back and is a little bit more serious with the woman.
Does he seem more empathetic towards her, or more like, yeah, you really need to understand something kind of talk? Like from like what it looks like.
Based on your insight score, it's looking more like they're talking about something important to both of them, and like it's like they're having a discussion, and it's a discussion that's not. It's not the kind of expression and mannerisms people get when they're just making small talk, you know, like they're the plastered on smile and kind of pleasantries and stuff like that. It seems like they're kind of going into details of a discussion when they're turning to each other, and they seem to be continuing the same discussion when after they turn away from others who have come to interrupt them. So it's a very significant kind of demeanor change. From the way they've been talking to the other people. You also see the when you take out the chess set, you notice that it does catch the eye of a decorated man with mutton chops who seems to be kind of like stroking his mustache, actually, because he has a mustache and mutton chops, and he's kind of looking you over, like contemplating perhaps if he wants to come over there.
That gentleman, would I know that to be General Levgarn?
I'm trying to think if it was pointed out. You were given his like general description by Alcaster or Alcastus. I'll never get my own NPC's name right ever. You were given like that description: mutton chops, mustache, decorated general, like active military.
Yeah.
So I would say that you could probably, with the insight that you have, would probably be able to put that together. But that's probably General Levgarn.
If I see him contemplating, I'll kind of wave him over, as in to invite him to a game.
Okay, and he kind of like gives you a nod and comes on over, and so you up for a game?
Yes. The name is Charlie Day. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Charlie Day. I am General Levgarn.
Another general on the board. Oh boy.
You've met another general on this trip?
I overheard a conversation that two ladies had earlier before we boarded the ship.
I didn't think there was any more generals on this ship.
Oh, he is, from what I understand, he's retired.
Oh. Him.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't shy away from a good argy-bargy in the old chess match, so how about having a seat?
What's the wager?
Well, someone like you, a gentleman with an acute sense of intellect. And he will reach into his pockets.
It's interesting, your strategy. Trying to butter me up, get me off guard. It will not work on me.
Oh, no.
What money? 200 gold? Is it too hot for you?
How much?
200 gold. Too much?
250.
Deal.
And just kind of sets it off to the side, like on top of his suitcase. So, What are your hopes for this meeting?
So let's play a little bit. Go ahead and roll a d20 and add your intelligence modifier.
Okay. It's not much. Total of 15.
Okay, add your proficiency bonus as well because this is your thing.
All right. The proficiency bonus for level 4 is 2, yes? Yes.
Okay, and your credit. Let me check
level
your
4,
credit- your credit
it's
sheet.
plus 2. So,
Yes, it is 2.
If the tool in your character sheet should give you the bonus with your proficiency if you're proficient.
okay. So it would be proficient. So I would have 17 total.
Okay, nice. He actually also got 17, so you guys are at a very interesting stalemate right now. So it's a
opener.
pretty tough game as it continues. So you're about mid game right now, and then that's when I would feel like you'd be more comfortable with opening up with that question. So go ahead and say that one more time. What was your question?
So tell me, good sir, what are your hopes for this summit, if you will?
Give me a persuasion.
Okay.
And yeah, he's not winning, so it's just going to be straight persuasion.
All right. It's just total of 18 on that one.
18? Okay. He goes, it's pretty much a waste of time, so I don't really know why I'm here, but they told me to come to this peace summit. I don't believe there can be peace. I don't know. Between you and me, I mean, look at it. There's been the hostilities for years. There's too much bad blood. But if miraculously the peace treaty is drawn up, I want to make sure that our military interests are protected and that we aren't missing out on anything in regards to that. And that I don't want to remove troops from the borders anytime soon.
Oh, I don't think you'll have anything to worry about that. Quite honestly, the first step towards peace is recognizing that it is needed.
I don't know if it is necessarily needed. I feel like one needs to win over the other. Otherwise, there's just going to be another resurgence of the Civil War, you know? It doesn't solve the core problem.
Well, what if there was a way to combine efforts? Say, both of you are mutually interested in some sort of resource, be it actual land or finances, or maybe even just, uniting the people for once.
The people are what started this.
Indeed. They are misguided.
Like I said, there's been a lot of bad blood. But if there were some sort of magical thing that could bring the people together in common cause, great.
So.
But that is what you call fantasy.
Indeed. I am nothing but fancy in this game. And he'll move a piece that just seems a little interesting. Not exactly a attack, but a silent move.
I see you attempting the river two-step, or maybe the
It's definitely not Blitzkrieg.
one-legged flamingo. I'm making up chess moves.
I know, but it's great. It's great.
There can be a one-legged flamingo chess move, okay?
There is
fine.
now.
There is now.
I mean, if they can make up names for monk stances, they can make up names for chess moves. Come on.
Especially in a fantasy world. Fuck the rules.
Exactly.
My decision.
One of the pawns is named Alfred.
So let's go ahead and roll again to see the outcome of this.
Okay.
Add the same stuff you added before.
All right. Rolling really hot right now. Hopefully that maintains for the mid game. 22.
All right. So you are taking the lead. slowly kind of taking out his pieces, definitely getting him on the ropes. Is there anything else you'd like to ask him?
I don't think he would know anything about Calvin Montague, but let's see. He is a general. He knows that there are certain people on board. You are a well-seasoned veteran yourself.
Done my time.
In your time, have you been able to, I believe the word is, assess the situation of people's socializing, of how they're getting along?
Oh, there's give me another persuasion check because he's not too happy he's losing, so I don't know how freely he'd want to talk to you right now.
That's very fair. Okay, rolled off the 1 onto the 19, so 19 plus persuasion is +1, so 20.
Dirty 20?
Dirty 20.
All right, so he kind of, you're kind of beating him, but he's still pretty thoughtful, and he's kind of noticing the moves you're doing, and so he seems to be intrigued, and kind of trying to take note and learning. So that's kind of getting him opened up because you're an interesting opponent. So he'll go ahead and say, "There's lots of suspicious individuals on the ship. I don't trust anybody generally, but I've heard there's several of the crew that are from Western Darvasta and Pink. I am keeping eye, and maybe you should too."
That would be a good decision. I was hoping for a not so exciting trip, but
I am hoping for such a trip as well, but when given the situation that we are in, I don't know if you've noticed the ambassador aboard, but she's pretty important to the peace talks, and there is already attempts to derail her journey. So we
Oh
have
my
some
goodness,
extra security.
Nat 20. Thank you so much for that incredible raid. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome Raiders.
Hi.
Welcome Raiders.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
No, please, thank you. Yes.
Welcome, Raiders.
This is Chimera Collective. It is a one-shot series. This is part 1 of a 3-parter we're doing in the following Tuesdays on our channel here at Behold Roleplay. It's a steampunk-themed Dungeons and Dragons adventure. They are currently aboard a airship, a Zeppelin in the sky, and they're kind of investigating things, trying to see what's going on. There's a very important person, an ambassador, trying to get to some peace talks safely. So that is kind of a quick little catch up to all the people that just joined us.
Ashton Rabbit, thank you so much.
We're having an intense chess game right now with the general and one of our agents that are from the Chimera Collective who's undercover right now. And he's getting some pretty good information. So yeah, the general kind of, rubs his mustache and goes, "So keep an eye on the crew, and I never trust that idiot son of hers, grandson. Dimitri's trouble, he cheats at cards. Don't trust him."
As the general is talking, can I make a perception check to see if I can listen in on Dimitri and his waifu's conversation real quick?
They are purposefully kind of away from people right now, so it would, and with the chatter of the other sounds that are going on, I don't think that would be possible. You do have ridiculously good hearing though, so go ahead and roll. But even the only reason I'm giving you a chance to roll is because of your ridiculously good hearing, but you have to roll at disadvantage. Normally
I'm at
you would have
disadvantage.
advantage.
Yeah, I will do so at disadvantage.
Because this is like real.
Yeah, this is
shouldn't
like
have had the
an,
chance.
like an aside just to make sure I can see if I can give the general maybe an ease of mind.
So you're an African elephant, not an Asian elephant.
Exactly.
As far
He's
as
got the
ears
big ears.
go. All right.
These are
so-
Not
Loxodon.
the smaller ones.
All right. So unfortunately, the net 20 has to go away. But the 15 plus 5 is a total of 20.
Okay. So you're able to pick up as you kind of start tuning General Garn out and kind of trying to listen in. You can make out not exactly full sentences, but you hear a few keywords, and you hear the name mentioned, Raz, sorry. The name Raz is mentioned, and you hear them saying that the shipment, something about a shipment from Bink. And what else would you pick up on while they're talking in the public area? The woman talks about how the party is not a good idea. The elf woman that he's talking to. She seems to be
Right.
she's trying to convince him to not throw the party tonight.
Yeah, I haven't pieced that together, but I know that there is a party now.
Yes, you do.
So in that sense, I would probably just reassure the general. The son seems to have his mind also worried by the amount of people here. Probably why he's on an edge of sorts. I know that he's normally not a good person.
He's just a foolish boy, he's silver spoon in his mouth when he was a baby, and he's never done like a day of real work, he's just pampered, spoiled little jerk. I can't stand him, always flirting.
So what you're saying is he's harmless.
Yeah, he always. I would have better chance with the talk to lady, right? Things
Yeah.
going well. He comes up. Thick lady. Piss me off. He does it specifically to piss me off. And he cheats at cards.
Oh, does he now?
Check his
I'll
lips.
I probably will sometime later in the future.
But he's just dumb boy. Foolish.
As foolish as he may be, information that he may have,
Like he knows anything.
like the shipments that are on board.
I don't know what you're talking about. Make your move.
Of
Roll.
course. And he'll put a check on him.
Well, we'll see. We have one more roll.
It's true. At least he'll try to force his hand.
All you need is another win.
This might be another win. That's another 22.
Yep, that's enough. So yeah, you check and then checkmate. And he goes, I was warming up, so maybe you catch me later.
You're
Another
probably
time.
one of the most challenging people I've played today. So
Good,
I
thank
wouldn't
you.
mind a rematch.
Yes,
Some other time.
maybe game of cards. That's more my thing. Chess.
Absolutely. You played my game, I get to play yours next.
Great. So later, you find me for a game of cards.
Yeah, and I'll just grab the coin purse of 250 gold.
And
It's
he
kind of
shakes
situation.
he offers his hand for you to shake.
And I'll shake it back a little bit more firmly than normal.
All right.
And give him proper respect as he leaves. And kind of look around the room and try to find. Well, I think he would make his way back to his quarters to make himself more presentable for the dinner.
Okay. And Wisteria or Ilvara as you're going by right now. What have you been up to this whole time?
She probably went to the area everyone's congregating as well. She kind of wanted to take note of, because people's initial reactions is to gravitate towards things that they're used to. So she's kind of taking note of people who may know each other and looking for any kind of odd ones.
And where are you?
Probably in the rec room as well.
Okay.
And then she's also attempting to lay on the persona of this airhead of a girl. Someone who just doesn't know much, doesn't retain much type of thing. So she probably stationed up near the bar area, got herself a drink, and is just kind of making a fool of herself a little bit.
You gather a gaggle of some other young starlets and heiresses that are aboard the ship, who are accompanying their parents or accompanying just going for travel, for vacation and whatnot. So you kind of find yourself around that crowd. So far, they're not really saying anything fairly significant, although several of them are making googly eyes at Dimitri and talking and making bets on who will bet him first.
And she will totally play into that, being like, I will totally beat all of you ladies at that. Like, totally just playing into that.
Nice.
As she keeps an eye on who's kind of gravitating towards what, and if there's any odd, like, looks between people, things like that.
Okay. And while you're talking to the ladies, give me a persuasion check to make yourself, like, make them feel comfortable with you, to see what they kind of let slip.
Ooh, that was a natural 20 for a 23.
Okay. So, you find out that the woman that Dimitri is talking to is named Raytu, and she is a guide from the island of Chetal, who's there to act as a guide and escort for the ambassador and her family and the entourage. So that's who she is. And the ladies are basically kind of bad-mouthing her because they think that she's trying to basically one-up the rest of them in terms of getting in line for Dimitri.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you do learn about her. And you also learn that they're very excited about the Tabaxi sisters' performance, that their names are, I have them to go, Poem of Summer and Page of a Book, Tabaxi names. And that they've seen them at some smaller venues, and that basically one of them is a bard, poem, seems to be very good with the lute and singing, and that Page of the Book is an aspiring mage or wizard who uses some really amazing kind of pyrotechnics and illusionary effects to enhance the performance. So they kind of talk excitedly about the show later tonight and how one of them got to see them back in Corventus. So you learn a little bit more about them. And they do say that they've been hearing the sisters arguing all frequently while they were in line, and they seem to be arguing again now, and they're kind of like worried and talking about the scandal of, oh my god, are they going to break up, that kind of chatter. And you also learned that one of the tiefling that has the jacket slung over and he's got the suspenders talking to the Kenku, that he's seems to be one of the ladies dated him, and he is an investigative reporter named Dexter Quinn, who works for the Corventus United Press. So he seems to be kind of a very, like, he seems to be playing it cool, but he seems to be a very well-known journalist. And in terms of, you were asking about like suspicious stuff, or what was the other?
Yeah,
specific?
she just kind of also keeping, because she is acting as a airhead, so she'd be distracted by pretty much anything. She's using that as an excuse to keep an eye on people's, when you first walk into a room, you gravitate toward things you know. So if, a waiter walks in and make eye contact with someone that doesn't make sense for them to make eye contact with, or things like that, where it just doesn't make sense that these two people seem to be connected. So that she can make note of it.
Give me a perception check to see how well you're able to do that while engaging in the women's conversation.
Nope, I'm an airhead because I was a natural one.
Okay.
I play airhead a little too well.
So yeah, you every time you try to catch sight of something, one of the girls kind of like pulls you aside for a secret, or like points something out about Dimitri, or it shows you like yeah, they just keep pulling you away and distracting you essentially. So, or making a sound that pulls your focus, but it's a little hard to get a look at anything. So the time, let's see, time goes by and it gets to the point where you guys should go and start getting ready for the dinner gala. So you all start heading back to your quarters. Dr. E, you are finally starting to finish up reading the medical files on both the passengers and the crew are kept there. You discover that the captain has also brought his daughter, the young girl who was kind of tugging on his jacket. Her name is Rose Edison, and she is a very special individual. You learn that she's something called a void, and no magic works on her at all. So healing magic does not work on her, and potions that are magical will not work on her. So she is sort of a special case in terms of if she is sick or injured, it has to be done by very mundane practices to heal her.
Would I... This may sound like a dumb question, but, some people interpret artificers as being not magical. They use their science for the effect. So are my potions in this setting magical or mundane?
So the way I view artificers in my world, and this is just my view, is wizards, they can gather magic from the area and they can cast it from themselves. Clerics is divine magic, they cast from themselves. Druids, they gather it from nature and they cast it from themselves. But artificers, they understand magic and can weave it, but they can't, their bodies are incapable of holding it. So I view it as like they have to kind of weave it into these things. That's why they're kind of masters of master craftsmen, but of a different level, because they also have an understanding of the arcane and of magic. So your potions, because they provide a magical effect, if it was just like a poison or something, I would say no. Or if it was like a healing salve instead of a potion, I could say that maybe it's just herb based. So if you have something like, I don't know, I believe your potion would probably be magic. So
Okay.
if it's a healing potions are magic. Your other potions, I would say, are also magically infused.
So he, taking note of that, just in case, he's going to refresh himself on herbology and
Okay.
check the pantries for the necessary herbs for simple salves and so on and so forth.
Got it. And can you give me a history check as well at hearing that she's a void? Would you get 18? You know that voids are extremely rare.
Mm-hmm.
There's maybe 3 to a generation in the population of the world. They're extremely rare, and they're usually kept pretty secret.
Okay.
But it was important for the medical officer to understand that she has special needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, he'll find a book on herbology. There's probably got to be one somewhere in the medical station, and just memorize the recipes for simple salves and whatnot.
Okay, I'll take that into consideration.
Try to prepare himself for that, should that be necessary.
Okay.
And you don't have to answer this now, because I know this is probably something that would have been way out in the wings to even consider. But he would have taken note of any allergies, food or otherwise, of any of the people that they are there to protect.
Okay.
He'll be on the lookout for stuff like that. And if the schematic of the mechanical appendage of that person was available, he would have tried his best to memorize that.
There was not a schematic, but it did give you a maker. The maker is of Bink make though.
Okay, and
which is Gnomish.
Would I be familiar with those designs?
You'd be probably fairly familiar. Bink is one of the rival, like the schools in Bink are kind of rival to the schools in Corventus and your academy. So they tend to be in a bit of a race in terms of technology that they develop for their artificers. So
that was on the ambassador or the general?
That was on the Secretary of Defense, the man with the dog.
Oh, him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The retired, the veteran general.
So, I'll take all that into note. And dinner is fast approaching.
Dinner is fast approaching, so you might want to get ready. Crystal. So you've been mingling with security, and then at a certain point you would have had to make your rounds just to kind of walk around the ship. They would have expected you to kind of start moving around. So as you're kind of walking around the ship, is there anywhere in particular, before we move on to dinner, I would just like to know, was there anywhere that you spent a particular amount of time or anything that you had in mind while you're walking the ship that you wanted to look for?
I've been pondering the fact that most of the crew didn't hit me at all, but the head of security, the Dragonborn, kind of struck me odd. So what I would be looking for, I think, would be anywhere where I might see crew kind of relaxing and chatting, where I might have the opportunity to ask them if the head of security is always that gruff, or have I done something to upset him?
Yeah, a lot of the crew seems to be. Do you make your way down to the lower level, because you're able to go there?
I especially on rounds. This is my big chance actually to go down where there would be more crew and less other people that I know are well covered. So yes. I would do that.
Okay.
I'm looking for crew intense areas.
Got it. So I am going to visit with you for a moment before we move on. So you head down to the lower level. You take kind of the crew entrance, and here's engineering. And in this space, there's a lot more noise. Let me do this one here. Change the sound. So you hear the sound of the engines is a lot more prevalent. There is. Why aren't you playing? Play sounds. I don't know if they will or not. Might be really low. Or it might have a slow start. Sirenscape, don't you be like this with me right now.
It's having an attitude.
Oh,
I
there
don't
it
want
is.
to hear it.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. It's like we want to go to sleep. I think it's like kind of a slow. It'll get going. Anyway, there's steam sounds. There's gears moving. There's like pistons thumping. It's much louder in this part. Everything is, it's not carpeted. There's a grating to the floor. It's like you feel the heat from the large furnace further down. And then you see there's another section where there's all these cargo containers. And there you see several of the crewmen are kind of leaning on some of the boxes and seem to be taking like a break. Like one of them has some food wrapped up in a large piece of cloth that they seem to have taken from the galley, and they're kind of passing it around. They seem to be having a break. There's some of the crew with like engine grease on their faces. Significantly, you do see that there's a large auburn colored haired bugbear, and he seems to be kind of squinting at his crewmates and having a conversation. There is a half orc down there who kind of catches sight of you and makes eye contact and then looks down shyly. There's a muscular tiefling, more darker in coloration, almost like an indigo coloring, and he seems to be smoking. Probably shouldn't be, but he is. And just another kind of like assortment of crewmen.
Ink and Dwyer, thank you so much for that raid. Welcome, guys.
Welcome, guys, to our steampunk themed D&D game on the large zeppelin known as the Zephyr.
Can I put 2 and 2 together and deduce that the half orc could be our chief engineer, Ogre Tug Tug?
He's a bit young from the description you got, but you do hear a lot of noises coming from the farther back area of engineering. That'd probably be a good place to find him. So
okay.
he's not hanging out with the young folk.
Okay, actually, I think rather than look for him, the half orc that looked away from me, I think I will approach him, actually.
Okay.
Hi there. I'm Chris Star is the name. I'm new here on this trip. And I'm on security. This is my watch right now, so I'm just walking around and doing my rounds. How y'all doing?
They all kind of look around, and one of them offers you a piece of cheese. That half orc kind of looks at you, and he looks up and kind of blushes a little bit and goes, "Oh, you know, doing fine, whatever. You're new, right? I haven't seen you before. I would have noticed, you're Chris, what was it again? Sorry?
Chris Star.
Chris Star. That's I'm and there's a dwarvish woman behind him, and she is a bearded dwarvish woman, and she kind of nudges him. "Hey, Rags." Bosun Riggs, hi. Kind of in charge of these guys, and taking care of stuff around the ship. I know my way around, so if you have any questions or you need someone to show you around, Chris Star, I'd be happy to, yeah.
Oh, that'd be lovely. And it's a pleasure to meet you, Bosun Riggs. I'm afraid, I am new, and I got to tell you, I got off to a really bad start. I just wasn't sure when I met the head of security. I didn't know if I should bow or curtsy or salute or what, and I didn't do well at all, and I think I made a really bad first impression because he was really not very nice to me. He was so gruff. Is he always like where's he from that he's like that, or is it something I did?
And the dwarvish woman behind, when you say that you curtsied to him, she just has this laugh like ha, like just really loud laugh, and she starts laughing and giggling, and Riggs kind of like kicks her a little bit to get her to stop, and
he goes, "Oh yeah, he's he's always like that. He's been through a lot. He was in the war, and he's working security now. But I have a feeling he saw a lot of hard stuff. So
Can I ask, like whose side was he on in that war? Like, did he not do well?
I'm not really sure. He doesn't exactly open up to us. Like he keeps to himself a lot. Unless he catches Fade there smoking. He points, and Fade the tiefling is just like, and yeah, he gets really mad at Fade for that. But yeah, I mean, generally he's good folk. I mean, we don't really, like I said, we don't really socialize with him a lot, but that's all I know. I heard that from the maids. So
I see. Well, Bosun, Riggs, if you got time, I would love you to show me around the ship and particular things I should be on the lookout for, places I should know about. If you could do
Oh.
that, that would be so helpful.
I don't know. And then you hear this just like stomping, and he goes, "Oh!" as the dwarvish woman behind him steps on his foot, and she kind of leans in, and her beard is all like braided, and it's got like beads in it and stuff. And she leans in and she goes, "Regs would love to. He's gonna show you around, doll."
So Crystal takes the opportunity to do something very unsecurity-like, but very Crystal-like. And she's going to kind of link her arm into his in sort of a Southern Belle fashion, say, "Well, Bosun Rig, shall you show me around, please?"
He kind of stiffens up a little bit, and yeah, you want to do that, right? Okay, yeah, this is the cargo bay, and so over there is engineering. It's real dangerous, it's real hot, so make sure you're careful. We've got these things that you can put on to deal with the heat. They're just hanging over there if you have to go over there for any reason. And there's maintenance shafts, and he starts pointing out where like a bunch of the maintenance shafts are, and pointing out where the air shafts are, and telling you that sometimes they get some critters that get in there, but most of that they've just cleaned it out recently, should be fine. And he's blushing the whole time and kind of starts taking you through the
Okay,
ship.
I'm gonna, as when he points out the cargo, I'm gonna say, "Oh my goodness, that's a lot of cargo. For someplace just going like to a holiday type island. Is there so much cargo because there's these special talks, or like what would that cargo be?"
Some of it's marked for like the resorts. They get some shipments through us sometimes, like just for real important stuff. But a lot of it is our passengers' personal items. Like rich folk, they always bring like way too much stuff. So, I don't, but that stuff's all the ambassadors party. So that's real important. Okay, so we need to make sure that stuff isn't messed with, and it gets where it's going. It's marked, you can see, with the Western Darvasta thing. So yeah.
All right, I'll take special care to make sure nobody goes near that when I'm around.
Oh, I'm sure you're real good at your job. Yeah. So, let's go check out the hall. I'll just show you around. Have you seen the bridge yet? I can show you.
Oh no, that'd be lovely to see that. Yeah. And as we're going around, I'm making as best as mental notes as I can of like where everything is, where the vents are, where those emergency suits are, everything I can take in.
Okay. And what's your passive perception again? Let me see. It is okay. So you catch sight of some movement as he was kind of talking about the maintenance shafts and like the air ducts and stuff. You catch sight of some movement above you.
Oh my goodness! Look there! What's that?
Oh. Well, should I or should you? You're secure. I don't want to step on your toes, but it's my thing. I'll look. And he kind of climbs
This is how
up
the orc
into
dies.
the maintenance shaft, and he takes a moment. He gets a little farther in, and then he screams.
I'm immediately going to sort of go into crystal mode, and I would be dressed in such a way that I would follow him up after, and I'm going up there with
So he's kind of got half his body in the port. It's like a little maintenance shaft. So are you gonna try to pull him out? To
is it possible for me to see what's going on before I pull him out?
He's kind of blocking it right now. You can maybe try to see through the grate. Go ahead and give me a perception check to see through the grate.
Oh Lord. No, I can't see anything.
Okay, so you're not sure. You're a little alarmed by it.
Okay, I'm going to try to pull him out.
Okay. As you start to pull him out, he goes, "Oh God, Rose, I told you to stay out of the shafts. What are you doing? Get out here." And a little girl peeks her head out in the shaft and kind of dangles it down with her chocolate face in her hair and braids, kind of just giggling and sticking her tongue out at you.
So I'll get her out of the shaft. I remember seeing her when we were boarding with the captain, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll say, Rose, you must be the captain's daughter. Can I take you back to where you belong?
No, you can't.
And why would that be, miss?
Because I don't know you and you're a stranger and I don't go with strangers.
Well, miss, I'm security. You can sort of see by my uniform that I'm part of the security team. And it's my job to help you go back to where you belong, if you don't mind.
Boring. How about this? You are it. Tag. Come find me. And she starts running down the hallway. And
I'm gonna run after her.
Wilson Riggs just kind of stands there like,
Oh, my poor orc boy.
So you run after Rose. And we'll come back to that moment as it's the rest of you are going to be getting ready for dinner. Before you fully get ready and we do that, next episode we'll start with the dinner scene and stuff. But is there anything anyone else would like to do before I resolve what's going on with Crystal?
Elowen would probably try to get back in touch with everyone, and just kind of relay the information that she found on the ship and everything as potential backways around traveling the ship without being discovered, and probably.
So you guys kind of gather together as your cabins are kind of near each other on purpose.
Probably,
so
yeah.
You meet up. Crystal will probably be joining you shortly, depending on what happens. But so you meet up, and we can say, how is there anything that you guys would withhold? I guess.
No.
No.
Okay, so we'll just say that you share everything you've discovered with each other, just
Okay.
to save time, right?
Can we, sorry to interrupt, but can we say before we left the recreation area that Wisteria intentionally on accident bumped into Dimitri? That's his name,
Let's
right?
have that moment. Okay.
Okay. She wants
So-
to accidentally on purpose bump into him.
Give me what would that be? Slide of or deception. Deception.
Perception? You got it.
Go, girl.
Woohoo! That would be 22.
Okay.
No.
You bump into him, and he goes, "Oh,
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh, hello there. I am so terribly sorry for bumping into you, but I don't mind the meet and greet.
I don't believe I've met you.
No,
What
I
is your
Lady
name?
Avaria. Avaria.
Lady.
Yes. It is nice to meet you. I've
It's
heard a lot
okay
about
to be
you.
bumped into by someone as lovely as you. I will forgive you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Hopefully we have a chance to bump into each other again at dinner.
I'm sure we will. Do you like dancing?
Oh, I love dancing.
I am a very good dancer.
Ooh.
I'll see you on the dance floor. Beautiful. Ilvaria?
Avaria.
Ilvaria. I'm sorry, my accent is
It's
hard.
alright.
Hard
It's a
time.
hard one anyway.
I am Dimitri. Vasa.
Well, the ladies have a lot to say about you. I hope it's all
Say
true.
now, what kind of things do the ladies say?
Oh, all kinds of wonderful things about how you're such a gentleman.
They don't know me well enough then.
Oh, well now I'm interested.
I look forward to our dance.
Me as well.
And he'll walk away.
Now I'm going to go to meet up with everyone.
So, Crystal, I think we've got a few more minutes because we're closing out at 11:30, correct? That's our end time. So, a few more minutes. You're running after Rose. Give me an athletics check to see how fast you can be to keep up with this little girl who knows her way around this ship.
Something at least maybe I'm good at. Oh dear. This is just not my night. This dice may have to go
Dice
somewhere
jail.
permanently.
Dice jail.
Absolutely. Okay.
Time out.
The best I can do is a 9.
Yeah, she rolled pretty high. She rolled a 17. So you kind of turn a corner and you attempt to parkour off the edge. But there was something slippery on the ground that you didn't anticipate, and you kind of slid into it a little hard. And by the time you kind of shake and get yourself back up, you can hear just a faint giggling and her saying, "Come find me." You look down, and there appears to be what you slipped on is this thick black goo. It's a little weird. You haven't seen it in any other places on the ship.
Okay. Is
Definitely a hazard.
is Bosun Riggs anywhere around?
You left him in the dust.
Okay. Would I have okay. Could you let me assume I have a handkerchief with me?
Of course.
Okay.
Southern
I
belle
will
like you, of course.
at least one, right? Okay, so I will bend down and I will try to wipe some of this goo up onto my handkerchief in such a way that I basically have I make a little kind of like package of it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what I will do, I think at this point, is I will go back to the others because I know we have an alchemist type person who may be able to tell me what this is.
Smart. Okay. So you are able to meet back with the group, and they're kind of going over things and they're sharing information. They catch you up as well. And then you presumably show the napkin or the handkerchief with the goo to Dr. E, I'm guessing?
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. E, what do you do with the handkerchief? Right now it's a folded handkerchief in your hands.
Oh, I don't need to blow my nose, dear.
No, you don't understand. I found out that little girl belongs to the captain, his daughter. Anyway, she was running around and she was in the air vent. She wanted to play tag. I tried to catch her, and I've been having a real bad day. And I was kind of bouncing off the corner, and I slipped, and I looked down, and lo and behold, there's this black goo stuff. And I remembered that you're the kind of person that might just be interested in this and know what it is. So I real careful scooped it up and put it in my hanky, and I want you to have a look at it, please.
Oh, black goo, you say? Okay.
Sorry, I changed the music.
I do wish the child would be more careful, given her condition and all.
So you open up the handkerchief? Was that a nod? Okay.
Yes.
There's nothing there.
I think you may have been mistaken.
No. And so I'm going to look down on the bottom of my boot that I slipped on it with. And look at the bottom of the boot. Actually, I'm gonna pull the boot off and pick it up to look at it, because I'm sure it's got to have black goop on it.
I mean, there's a little mud that's kind of caked on, flakes off, that are kind of stuck in the tread parts of your boot, but it's no black goo.
Well, I declare, I ain't never not seen anything like this before. I don't know. Like, it was there. I mean, I'm not going to be the kind of person that's going to sacrifice a perfectly good handkerchief, a silk handkerchief, I'll have you know, to pick up a nothing thing like it was something.
Can you show us what it is, love? Can you show what it is?
Well, there's nothing on the hanky now. We could go back there and I could show you, but
do I still have see invisibility on me?
You do? Actually, has it been, how long does that last for?
Usually has an hour.
Okay, so it's passed. However, you do notice something. So, Kieran and Charlie, you both see that there is something stuck to the back of Crystal's uniform. Kind of got stuck in the band of her.
Crystal, hold still. And I'm gonna walk around and just kind of. Is it like a black spotch?
It's a paper.
It's a paper.
And it looks burned along all the edges. It's just stuck to her.
I just kind of peel it off of her.
There is some black goo that was holding the paper to her. She must have fallen in some of it, and it's on her still. Who knows what happened to the rest of it? But this paper seemed to have hitched a ride.
Maybe you should try looking at this, Dr. E.
Oh, what is this?
When you look at it, you see there's also a bunch of symbols, like it's a note. And everybody give me a history check, or
don't fail me now.
Wisteria, you with advantage.
Ooh, okay.
22.
My range helped. 15.
13.
21.
Charlie, you also with advantage.
13.
Ooh, 21.
All right. That'd be an 18.
Okay. Those of you
9. I am just having a colossally bad
Crystal.
day.
Oh no.
Those of you who rolled above a 15 recognize a code that requires a cipher. This is nonsense code, but there's similar markers to it that remind you of like thieves' cant or other kinds of things that certain organizations might use to make a coded message. But you would need, and you know that you would need to find the cipher to understand what this says. It also appears like the note is from a larger piece, maybe several papers that someone has clearly tried to burn, but this piece has remained. Maybe it was in an air duct or something, but Crystal's back has found it.
And I
Anyone
know
else?
that this falls outside the realm of being able to use comprehend languages for.
You,
I was just about to ask
if
that.
they share that information, I don't want you to waste your spell on it, but
I got a 22, so
oh, okay, then yeah, you would know like that. Also, this is a coded message, and comprehend languages won't do shit for a coded message unless you have the cipher.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, with
Yeah.
my high roll, I was gonna be like, can I do that?
It's like
I would
thieves can't. It's just a bunch of nonsense words.
like
For
to try to identify the substance, though.
And Elwyn, for you, who might not have as similar a background as some of the others, that would make sense for it. You all got some preliminary training at the academy. It's just whether or not you remember this kind of stuff. So
She would remember.
You remember
She
that
definitely
class.
would. Yeah,
You didn't
she's
sleep.
she's definitely one of those like
Karen
would
might
try
have
to be valedictorian
class,
like level. She would try to do
Is-
that. She's an overachiever.
Is the note intact?
It is
Oh.
burned. Some of it has been burned off, but it seems like this chunk or this section is clear.
But does it look like there's parts of the notes missing?
Yes.
Okay. Like we got to take care of the note. If I can see it in the morning, I can maybe fix it.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Would Elwyn know about, because they did say that there were reporters on here, would she know that could potentially be shorthand from reporters as common knowledge that they use for their notes?
I don't think so. What was your roll?
Oh god, it was a 21. 22.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. You know that sometimes reporters will do that to protect their sources and protect.
Okay.
So that's not outside of the realm of possibility for sure. And all of you who rolled above, if you rolled above an 18, you would also know that ciphers, logically, would need to be something they would have to be able to sneak aboard the ship. And kind of maybe hide easily. So it's probably some sort of thing. Like sometimes they have those cylinder ones that you kind of
Right.
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
others might be hiding in like a paper form, like in a book, or
Like
using a book
like a
cipher.
decoder ring or some
Mhm.
other mishmash.
So you kind of have
Okay.
an idea of what to look for.
Right.
So
And-
Oh, go ahead.
I will try to cast mending on it
Okay.
to see if that repairs any of the damages.
You cast mending, and it does. The paper slowly starts to repair itself to its normal form presumably before it was burned and charred, and more of the writing is able to be seen.
Is it
Oh,
still
yes, good.
hard to read?
It's still coded, but
Okay.
it's you're able to make it out after mending it. It's a little faded in the parts that he mended because of the ink issue, but
Can I do prestidigitation to clean it up?
Wait.
Mm,
Wait.
Won't work.
We need to identify the goo first.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to work on.
okay. So as you were like casting mending, when you go to like flip the paper back over to take a closer look at the goo, it's gone.
Take a look around the room.
You can give me investigation checks
That's what I'm good at.
or perception.
There we go.
Ah. That's gonna be a 23.
Okay.
So 23.
I rolled a nat 20 plus an unknown
Oh.
number to you. So you
Oh.
see nothing.
Crystal, would you be able to kindly take us back to where you found this?
So
I
we
I
are
think all of us
Well-
moving in a group would be a little bit suspicious.
That's what I was thinking. I could probably get away with taking the doctor because that would make some sense.
It would.
So for
Or
the sake
here.
of time, since we are over time now, to kind of wrap things up, you guys do head back over there and you do a thorough investigation of the area. There's no sign of it. There is a maintenance door that's slightly ajar though. And that's all that you were able to find in that area. And so without any kind of further leads on that, you know that you have to be in attendance at the gala. And so you return to your cabins and get dressed up and ready for the night's festivities, which is where we will pick up on our next game next Tuesday of the Chimera Collective. So thank you everyone for joining us for this, our first episode in this 3-part series of Blood on the Zephyr. We appreciate you, and please check out our other shows that we have going on. Zoro, could you talk a little bit about that for me, please?
Oh, you're turning it over to me now. No.
Yep, because there's so much going on
That's
with
true.
like Sonata and stuff. I don't.
That's totally fine. So yeah, so go ahead and mute me. We have several shows that are actually going on. Mondays we usually have our Mass Effect Horizons game, where I DM a Mass Effect 5e style game. And then we have our Tuesday game, which is normally our Destiny Forge game, which is one of our longest running stories, but campaign 2 just ended. So we are taking a brief break, which is where this slot is being filled temporarily by the Chimera Collective for the next additional 2 Tuesdays now, before we start up campaign 3 of Destiny Forge. We also have our 2 alternating Saturday games. One of them is Wayward Wanderers, which is our Pathfinder 2 Extinction Curse campaign, where Azurin gets a bunch of circus performers to get into all kinds of chaos. And then we have our other Saturday game, which is Withered Waste, which is our post-apocalyptic style wasteland game, where Rojan runs us through a bunch of fuck-ups, as I want to call them.
A bunch of
dysfunctional
fuck-ups.
Family. We also have our lore show, which is the first Saturday of every month, called Behold Lore, where we just kind of talk about everything within our worlds, whether it's characters, the world, certain events that are kind of big and well known throughout our community. We also have our annual Sonata game. For those of you who are new with us, it is our Werewolf Winter style game. It's a little bit of a darker theme, which is a lot of fun, where HB Fox runs us through that, and we are doing something a little bit different than we normally do. We're starting part 1 of 4 tomorrow night, Wednesday, and then we've got the next episodes, the last 3, this upcoming Saturday, Sunday, and then the following Wednesday night, all at 7:30 Pacific time. So tune in for a week-long basically event of Sonata 3.
So much RP.
Yeah, there's a lot going on this week. There's a lot, and it's gonna be fun. So yeah, and if you guys miss any of our episodes, you can always catch up or watch the most recent ones on our YouTube channel. We usually put them up within a day or 2 of them being aired. Otherwise, yeah, we will be back here with this show next Tuesday. Otherwise, on the channel itself, we will see you this Wednesday, tomorrow, for part 1 of 4 of Sonata 3. So until then, guys, you take care.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.